This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's popping, ladies and gentlemen? What's popping? I don't even have the energy to come out and say it like I want to say it because that was just a bad display of basketball. A bad display of basketball, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. In a time when the New York Knicks need to take advantage of their schedule, they're not able to do so. At home, they're not able to do so, ladies and gentlemen. A terrible display of basketball by the New York Knicks. They lose to the New Orleans Pelicans 102-91. We're going to go ahead and break this thing down, man. We got Josh in the building. We got Big Bubba in the building, man. Let's get into it. Josh, what's popping with you, brother?
Salute, Sam, Isaiah, the NBK fam in the chat, everyone out there. It's just a terrible display of basketball right now. 2 out of the last 3 games for the Knicks, they got blown out on their home floor. And no question, changes have to be made if the Knicks want to stay this season. Typically, I tend not to overreact, but I've seen enough with the starting lineup with Kimball out there. And you know, this pieces just don't fit together with this current starting lineup right now. And I think the front office definitely has to make some trades. Let's get some other people in here. Let's see what we can do to try to save this season. I'm not going to go in on the front office about the Kimball move and the Evan Fournier move because, again, it's not catastrophic what they did, right? You know, these pieces can be moved. The Knicks can move these pieces. But you can just tell, like, the synergy on the floor is just not there. You know, they have their moments, but they just can't build any type of consistency. And tonight was a big example of that. So I think the front office, if you want to save this season and actually make something of it, I think they have to make a move at this point. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the front office is looking at this loss right here, in particular, knowing that the Knicks had a chance to get back to 500, knowing the type of stretch they have coming up, with the Knicks having to understand just the amount of, I don't want to say pressure on this game, but the importance of this game and coming out flat. That's bad business. And, you know, that right there, it's got to be red flags for the front office, man. Big Bubba, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Sam? What's going on, Josh? What's going on, chat? I can't even look at your face.
What you trying to say? I got a funny face? Like, what's going on?
No, I can't even look at that. Honestly, Sim, I feel like I say this every season with the Knicks, but sometimes you just get so frustrated because you just see the potential this team has, and you see the players that we have, and you just go back to the season we had last year. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of talking about last season because this ain't the same team. They don't have the same heart. They don't have the same desire. They have the same fight.
They don't have the same makeup. Is it? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the same. Yeah, I guess they're on the same makeup.
Team.
It's just frustrating. You just lost of words because it's just like, yo, you don't get that many opportunities in this league to I mean, you do. You get 82 games, but after a while, these games are just going to keep dwindling down again. This is game 46, and we're already halfway through the season, and
yeah, I mean,
it's hard. It's just tough right now. I can't even really put it to work because it's just so frustrating because it's like I know Johnson hurts. I know. It's just so frustrating because it's just like we I don't know. So we just come here every time we try to be so optimistic about this team, and it's just like, to be frank, they just shit the bed almost this whole season has just been inconsistent and just been mediocre. It's just been so much inconsistency. It's frustrating because it's like, to me, just all we built up last year just went down the drain. Just in these already 46 games of just us playing, and I'm not saying that it all went down the drain, but I'm just saying it just feels like I don't know, just frustrating.
Yeah, the Knicks are 22-24 after 46 games, but that's not all of it. The Toronto Raptors, they're 21-21 in the 10th seed. The Knicks are a full game behind the Raptors. The Boston Celtics, they're 23-23 on the season. The Knicks are a full game behind the Boston Celtics. The Knicks lose the tiebreaker to the Toronto Raptors. At this point in time, they would lose the tiebreaker to the Boston Celtics, although both teams beat each other twice. The Knicks would lose the tiebreaker because the Celtics are 16-13 in the conference, and the Knicks are now 14-18 in the conference. So the Celtics win that tiebreaker. The Knicks have already lost a game to the Washington Wizards. They've already lost 2 games to the Charlotte Hornets. So in order for the New York Knicks, if things stay the way that they are, if they continue to lose the series to the Hornets, I don't know how many more times they play the Hornets. If they lose again to the Washington Wizards, the Knicks will not have a tiebreaker amongst these teams, which means they've had to end with a better record than one of these teams to be in that top 10. This is the Knicks are putting themselves in a pretty bad situation right now when it comes to the Eastern Conference, the way that they keep losing these games. And I know this wasn't an Eastern Conference game, but still, they're putting themselves in a bad situation because they're not beating these teams. If the Knicks had won the season series against the Celtics, won the season series against the Raptors, and beat the Hornets and beat the Wizards, then you'd look and say, okay, all they got to do is tie these teams, right? Where, the Knicks are just 1 game or 1.5 game behind these guys. But the way that it is right now, the Knicks have put themselves in a pretty bad hole, a tough hole to get out of. I know they can still end up with a better record than these teams, but these teams are playing as well, and they want to get better, and they're trying to get better. They could make moves at the deadline. They believe in themselves as well. I don't know. This is a tough scenario for the New York Knicks right now. And the more they keep losing, the tougher and tougher it's going to get. I'm going to cut to my man Savvy. Savvy, give us a quick synopsis, and then I'm going to go to the telephone lines, all right? Savvy, what's popping with you, man?
Doing well. Boy, was I wrong about tonight.
You're not the only one.
I want to start with that. Salute, fellas. Salute to the panel and the chat. I just want to point out some points of disgust for our performance tonight. We shot 67% from the free throw line. Although 10 of those free throws were shot by Mitchell Robinson, he hit 5 of them. I do appreciate his ability to draw the foul and get to the line. If nothing else, you can at least get the other team in some foul trouble. We got annihilated in transition. And every time we were able to throw a stopper on their momentum, they were able to reignite themselves with a good transition play. And we did not adjust to that. We didn't have the pace to match it, even when we had
You went mute for a second. Go ahead.
I was just saying we didn't adjust well to how they were killing us in transition, and even when we had some transition baskets of our own, there was once or twice there where they answered the right back with their own transition basket because we didn't get back on defense. We would lose people on the switch every once in a while. Brandon Ingram was eating, and that young boy that's from New York off the bench, Alvarado. Mm-hmm. Oh, he was eating. You know what I mean? It seemed like whoever they subbed out, they always had somebody that could come in and at least get a bucket or two. And we were not able to just keep it together. I was also very wrong about the performance of Kimball Walker tonight. Maybe we're readjusting to having him in the lineup, but I knew he wasn't gonna get that many minutes. And if he did, maybe he would have caught fire at some point. But he was just too much of a liability defense.
Yeah, well, the Pelicans did a really good job of playing pack line defense. They weren't afraid of the Knicks to knock down the three consistently, so they played a lot of pack line defense. Hovering around that 3-point line. As soon as somebody penetrated to the basket, they were in there helping them out, making them kick the ball back out.
Yeah, they wanted us to shoot,
but better than the Knicks, they were getting back out to the shooters though. So they didn't commit so far into the paint that they couldn't get back out and recover. Right? They would just play that pack line and they'd pack it into the paint, make you have to kick it out, and then they're there to recover. They're playing man, but it's almost like a zone.
Yeah.
They did a really good job doing that all night long, and it gave the Knicks a lot of trouble. Because if you're not hitting the three, then they can continue to stay in this pack line type of defense, keep you out of the paint, and close out to the three-point shooters. That's what they did all night long, and the Knicks had trouble all night long. And then on the other end of the floor, the Knicks were giving up open three after open three after open three because we get sucked so deep into the paint, we can't recover in time. Yep. And I'm noticing, I don't know if it's the players, I don't know if it's Tom Thibodeau's discipline when they're practicing, but these guys don't move on the flight of the basketball.
Exactly. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? They don't rotate out to the shooter until the ball is halfway there. Once they realize the ball is being passed, now they're on the way out to the shooter, and that's too late. Oh, I'm sorry. Once they realize the ball is in the air, they're on their way to the shooter, and it's too late. You need to leave on the flight of the ball. As soon as that ball leaves somebody's hands, you got to go. But I noticed with these guys, they wait until the ball is halfway there or the ball is in the shooter's hands, and then they're like, oh, my God, I got to recover. It's too late. It's too late.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Real quick, I know a lot of people are kind of frustrated. Well, frustrated with this team, obviously, and frustrated with individual players. I still think the Knicks have players who can play, right? I think they have players who are I think they can be really good contributors on other teams, right? So when I say that, I think the Knicks need to make trades. I just think that these current pieces on the team don't fit well together, right? Particularly in the starting lineup. I just don't think there's that camaraderie there that's ever going to get better because of their types of games and their style of play, right? So people may be calling, individual players trash and this and that nature, but I don't think it's that. I just think that the way they play together is just not well. And I want to put the Knicks to go trade for players that I think can fit well within the system. And right now, I just don't think we have a good group of players that play well together consistently. So,
I will also say this too, and just go back what you were saying, son. This team, I don't think these are Thibodeau type of players. And this to me is a correlation of the front office and Tom Thibodeau not being on the same page. Because again, if we just go back to Tom Thibodeau type of teams, that they're defensive first. They got some usually got some good wings, more combo guards and anything that can switch and play different positions. And this team, we got Kimball Walker that's a traditional small point guard. Evan Fournier that's not known for playing defense. He's more of a shooting guard type of one skinny wing that doesn't really do anything but score. But you have RJ, you got Grimes, and you see those guys have the potential to do it. But it just these guys they're not having they're just not having the pop of the Reggie Bullocks and those guys that were able to close out on the threes and everything like that from last year. And it's just this team is just not cohesive. They're not playing for one another. There's just the chemistry's not there with this team. Again, there's been really very mediocre to bad this year, just of inconsistent play and just Not again. I don't want to because I'm not. I see a lot of people saying fire Thibs and Thibs this and listen. Thibs has been very frustrating this year to me personally. I don't think Thibs has been really good either this year. But these players are just not his kind of players. And again, I just think there's some. I really do think there's some disconnect with the front office and Thibs about what guys should be on his team because it just to me doesn't mesh well.
I don't know if it is or if it isn't. From reports, Tom Thibodeau is the one who fought to get Evan Fournier. People would say Evan Fournier is not his type of guy, but Tom Thibodeau, according to reports, he fought for Evan Fournier. He wanted Evan Fournier on the team. Did he want Kimball Walker? Who knows? I don't know. He wanted Emmanuel Quickley. He wanted Grimes. He wanted Miles McBride. Those are players that he wanted. Now people are going to say, well, how come you're not playing Miles McBride? Listen, that's, you got to ask Tibbs that question, and I'm pretty sure he's going to tell you his turn will come. Right now the team is loaded with guards out there on the floor, but he is playing Quentin Grimes. Obviously, Emmanuel Quickley is a young guy, but these are guys that Tom Thibodeau wanted. Now, what happened with Reggie Bullock and Alec Burks, who knows, how exactly that thing went down. But I don't know. Is there a disconnect or not? It's hard to say. I guess we will find out sooner than later, because things are going to have to happen, things are going to have to happen.
I have an observation to make as well. When we are making a comeback run, right? I think we're getting too big for our britches when we get on these hot streaks. I mean, Quentin Grimes kind of got in his bag a little bit at the end there, and we couldn't really keep on facilitating that well for him to keep on hitting open shots. So the Pelicans defense adjusted well for that. But in the sense of the run that we went on late, where I think it was like a 9-point, 10-point game. There was maybe 2 minutes left. I might be being generous. It was probably like a minute and a half left, right? There was one play in particular where Obi drove the ball to the 3-point line, stopped, and shot a 3-pointer. And as soon as he stopped, I was like, I literally yelled out. I was like, no! And he shot it, and it bricks off the rim. And I was like,
you said Obi did that? Or Quickley?
Obi did that. Quickley probably did something similar prior to that, but the one that burned me really on the inside was when Obi did it, because I'm expecting Dunker's Delight Jr. to drive that thing all the way in and jam it. Give us a guaranteed 2 points.
Yeah, well, the one that got me, and, it is what it is, because the Knicks were, making this fake, I don't want to say fake run, but, they were trying. That group was trying to make a run. Right. 2 minutes left. On a fast break, Quickly comes down and shoots the 3 when the lane was open. So it was a 10-point game. If he knocks down a 3, it's a 7-point game. He misses it. They come back, score. It's a 12-point game. And then we come back and turn the ball over, and they come back and score again, I believe. And it's a 14-point game. To me, that was kind of the momentum killer. If you want to say the Knicks had momentum at that point, that 3, was, kind of the momentum killer. But, I mean, what are you going to do?
And right before that, right before that, he had a nice drive to the basket. He did a good up and under layup, right? And there was defenders there, and he scored. And I was like, why would you go away from that in order to start trying to do this heat check 3-pointer thing? And it was just frustrating.
And
bro,
that was Quickly trying to win the game with a shot or come back with one shot. You know what I'm saying?
And so I'll be honest with you.
That's mindset stuff.
I hate this. This is a Walt Clyde pun. IQ has very bad IQ. Sometimes with Emmanuel, man, I don't understand what he's thinking. It's like I don't get it. Like I really don't. Sometimes it's like fam, like you said with a 3-point shot, it's like, why? You can't get a lead back in one shot. It just don't work like that. It's just frustrating because it's like, damn, bro, think. Like,
and I get it. You're right.
and so, and please,
I'm going to say this, though. Hold on. I'm going to say this. You're right. You can't get the lead back in one shot. It was kind of a heat check. He was trying to come back all in one shot and all of that. But, it was 2 minutes left in the game. We're down 10. I know what he was trying to do. He wanted to hit this big shot, get the crowd going, and build on top of the momentum. If he would have hit that shot, everybody, the Garden would have went crazy, and everybody would have loved him for that shot. You know what I mean? So, it's a tough situation. The Knicks were down 10. They probably weren't coming back within that 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And I think that's where his mindset was. Quickly is a chance taker.
That's the type of player he is. Lightning in the bottle.
And you want a guy like that. And you want to have a guy like that. Because the guys like that will be the difference between losing in overtime and winning now. Yeah. Sometimes.
You know what I mean? That's who he is. And sometimes it's going to hurt you. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes it's going to hurt you. I'm not ready to say that hurt us tonight. We was down 24 points way before that shot ever even came.
Right.
You know what I mean? Way before that shot ever even came. And, when the Knicks came out to begin the third quarter, that's where they lost the game right there. They came out and played terribly at the beginning of the third quarter. Let me run down the box score. Then we can go down and talk about individual players.
Ooh, hurt me some more, Sim.
All right, go down.
I don't want. I'm gonna leave my.
R.J. Barrett tonight, ladies and gentlemen, 17.6 rebounds, 2 assists. Shot 46% from the field. He was 1 for 5 from the three-point line. Mitchell Robinson was probably our best player tonight at 17 points, 15 rebounds, 1 block. He was 6 for 7 from the field. Now, he didn't shoot threes. He doesn't shoot threes. He was 5 for 10 from the free throw line, Mitchell Robinson was. But you know what? We know Mitchell Robinson's not going to hit free throws.
Right.
We know that. But at least he's getting to the line. We need other people to get to the line, not worry about Mitchell Robinson getting there. We would like for him to hit him, but he played a good game tonight. 17 points, 15 rebounds. I love the way he's rebounding in traffic lately.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's using his size and athleticism, and I'm loving what I see when he's doing that. Hopefully he continues to play this type of basketball. Emmanuel quickly tonight, 14 points, 4 rebounds. Also 5 assists for Emmanuel quickly. He also had 3 steals. Quentin Grimes, 13 points. He's shot 55% from the field and 50% from the three-point line. Alec Burks, he had 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Kimball Walker, 5 points. Evan Fournier, 6 points. Julius Randle, 4 points. Your 2 highest paid players equal 10 points tonight. And then Kimball Walker, who was one of your star gets over free agency, 5 points tonight. Therein lies the problem. Because the guys that you expected to come out and get you 20, 15 did not do it. Therein lies the problem. I was in Twitter Spaces yesterday, and I talked about Julius Randle's free throws at the end of the Minnesota Timberwolves game. And I said, man, I looked into Julius Randle's eyes, and I knew he didn't want to shoot those free throws, and I could see that he was scared. A couple guys out there said, man, we need to stop looking in players' eyes and making a determination on whether or not they're scared. Where, listen, if you're listening to this show right now, Julius Randle was scared that night to shoot those free throws. And the question that we had on the show was whether his inability to shoot free throws and make free throws and always go 1 for 2 from the line was going to affect his game. And, someone told me in Twitter Spaces, they said, he He's still going to go to the basket. He's still going to shoot his shots. Well, he only took 9 shots tonight. I know they were playing that kind of defense, and he had like 6 assists in the first half of the game. I don't think he had another assist the second half of the game. Obviously, the Knicks didn't shoot well either. But Julius Randle played bad basketball. Played like he was indecisive, not knowing whether he should shoot it or pass it. I seen several times tonight when he was open and didn't know what to do. So whoever, tried to come at me in those spaces, watch the game, my friend. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. Just watch it. Just watch it. I don't know. I know I say I don't know a lot. I do know. What I'm telling you is watch it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He was scared to shoot it that night, and I'm afraid that some of these things are impacting his basketball game. And it's got his mental twisted right now. He's not sure where to go with it. But let's talk about some of these players. Let's begin. We might as well begin with Julius Randle since I started talking about Julius Randle. Let's begin with Julius Randle. Josh, talk to me.
Yes, Tim. So I wouldn't go that far. I don't know about him being scared of the free throws. I don't know anything about that. But here's what I can say about Julius Randle. So he took 9 shots tonight, right? You would want Julius Randle to take more shots, right? He's the second best, well, one of the 2 best players on this team, right? Between him and RJ Barrett. So to me, I want him to be a little bit more aggressive. But I feel like the biggest problem with Julius Randle and just the offense in general, because he didn't look scared on defense, right? He was hustling on defense. He was hustling. So he may have had a bad shooting night, and he didn't take as many shots as he needed to take, but he did play defense. He did hustle. He did go out to block some shots, right? He did do that part of it. What I will say about this offense is just that, and I'm not going to blame Mitchell Robinson for anything, because I like what Mitchell Robinson is doing. And, his offensive, his rebounding, being a threat down there, down low. But to me, I feel like Mitchell Robinson is a clog in the paint. And it's very difficult for guys like Randle and RJ to get in the paint because Mitchell Robinson is literally there. When you give Julius Randle the ball in the post, for example, right? You have Mitchell Robinson's guy come in baseline and try to double team Julius Randle. Literally, Atlanta did that, and that seems to be the blueprint of what other teams are, how they're defending Julius Randle now, right? And basically, the Knicks can't get into the paint. Like our dribble drives, every time we go dribble drive, the paint seems to be crowded. And I feel like the offense would be a little bit more spread out if we had, a stretch 5, instead of Mitchell Robinson there. With all that being said, Julius Randle has to play better. There's no doubt in my mind, no doubt about it. Like, I'm not going to make any excuses for him. But some of the stuff I see out there with Julius, like, I just feel like it's more of a, especially like the shots that he takes, it's very similar to what a lot of him and RJ take, kind of on the perimeter, not really going to the hole, being aggressive. And I think that's more of a team thing instead of just Julius Randle himself. But there's no question about it. He needs to be better. Like, there's just no question about it.
And I'm not saying that he's afraid to play the game. What I'm saying is, versus Minnesota, in that last 2 minutes, when he passed the ball out to Alec Burks, he didn't want to go to the free throw line. I'm sorry. I played basketball. I've been in situations where I wasn't shooting well and I didn't want to go to the free throw line. I've been in situations where I've been on at the line nervous. Right? I know what it looks like. You can say I don't. I know what it looks like. Right? I've seen Julius Randle's face plenty of times at the free throw line, and the look that I seen that night, especially on that second free throw, he made it. But he was nervous. Right? And, coupled with, everything that happened with the crowd, him not playing good basketball, I'm afraid it's starting to affect him mentally. And so he's becoming indecisive out there on what to do, especially when teams play the type of defense that the Pelicans played tonight. You know what I mean? That pack line type of defense. That's all I'm saying. Is he afraid throughout the entire basketball game? I don't think so. Does he become decisive? Yeah. When he gets, especially defenses like this, he becomes very indecisive. And all this stuff that's been happening doesn't help his decision-making, in my opinion. When it comes to shooting the basketball, let's say that.
On offense.
So I'm concerned about it. I am. I'm concerned about it. and where he goes. I want to see him toughen up, man up, and find a way to get this done. But listen. I've been a Randle supporter since he's got here, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. And right now, I'm a little bit nervous about where his mental is, his mental approach to the game. Savvy?
Well, I was disappointed in Randle tonight. I was delighted by his ability to facilitate in the first half. I think he really tried, but I agree with you, Sim. I think he's deliberately I think he's avoiding putting himself in certain positions out of a hesitancy to see himself struggle with certain duties like what he doesn't want to do, like going to the line. I agree with you in that moment about the game from the other night. I can look at someone and tell if they're disappointed. There are nonverbal cues that communicate these things. But on the issue of the paint being clogged by Mitch, I've seen them play well together. I've seen them coexist together. I'm not going to say that I entirely disagree with you, Josh. All I'm going to say is that when you have a guy who does what Mitch does and does it well on a pretty consistent basis, like as long as he's healthy, he's probably going to give us something in terms of some blocks, some rebounds, or some putbacks and alley-oop points. But by and large, when Mitch is healthy, he doesn't really have that many horrible stinkers for us, right? Not every team needs a stretch five to succeed, but a team like our team, where your guards will let you down, your wings could let you down, and your power forward is going to let you down, that might be the team that really, really needs a stretch five. Do I want to lose Mitch in order to get that stretch five? Absolutely not, because he still brings you essential basketball contributions on a consistent basis that we need, and he does it well. And we should reward that, and we should keep that guy and maybe try to pitch away another five that we can try to pitch away to make space for a stretch five to come in and give us what we lack in being able to space the floor in certain situations. But like I said, I've seen them play well together. And I'm not going to look at the one guy who's getting the job done and be like, this is the problem with our offense. That's just not...
I mean...
I'm not necessarily saying that's your take, but that's how it comes across when there's so many things that we did wrong, and we're going to say that someone is clogging the paint, therefore someone else cannot perform.
No.
Like
that's not
approaching it from that angle. Okay.
Savvy, real quick. I wasn't trying to frame it that way, right? Julius Randle needs to play better, right? Julius Randle needs to be more aggressive. I'm just saying overall for the offense, like I've seen this too many times. And yeah, Mitchell Robinson does his thing, like cleaning up the glass, blocking shots when he does defensively. Like I'm not taking anything away from Mitchell Robinson. He's a plus when he's on the floor. I'm just talking about overall for our offense. Like I've seen the Knicks too many times this season, and even a lot of times last season, they just were knocking their shots down. Settle for jump shots because literally they cannot get into the paint. They can't penetrate. Anytime they try to penetrate, the paint is literally clogged up because Mitchell Robinson's man literally comes over to help. Right, to help on whatever's there, and if for some reason the Knicks, they throw a shot up off the backboard, Mitch will either clean it up or we just lose the rebound overall, right? And that's not on Mitch, right? What Mitch does is it's important for his role. But I'm saying for this offense, and if you're going to run an offense through Julius Randle and you're going to run it through RJ Barrett, who need to get inside the paint, that's where they're going to dominate. You have to have a stretch five out there. That's all I'm saying. I respect what Mitch brings to the table. I just think for the collective as a group, I just think that we need a different option there at the center for this current team, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, to me, I mean, I do agree. I do think that we need a guy who can stretch the floor. I don't know if that means getting rid of Mitch, but adding a guy, and it could mean that you have to get rid of Mitch if you're getting the right guy or the right player. You know what I'm saying? But adding a guy that can stretch the floor doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get rid of Mitch.
Right, you can get rid of Nerlens. I'm
Right.
just saying, in that
I
starting
would much
unit,
rather do that.
Right.
and well, yeah, of course, I would too. I'm just saying, in that starting unit, for the way we run our offense through Julius and through RJ, they would play better with the stretch 5 on the floor instead of Mitch, because when you literally watch every single game, it's really difficult for the Knicks to get in the paint. Literally, the best chances when they do get into the paint with Julius and RJ is when they have a small ball lineup out there where Julius can be the one to stretch the floor a bit, right? So that's just what my observation is. Not taking anything away from Mitch. I like what he brings to the table, but just from what I see with this offense, to me that's just a constant that's there. We can't really score in the paint.
Yeah,
And
I also feel like
sorry.
hold on. I also feel like this working is predicated on Randle knocking down that 3-point shot, and he has
Yeah, and that's the other part of it.
This year. But let me get the big bubba on this topic.
That's the other part of it. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Come on, spit it out, man. Spit it out.
Sorry, Charles, I just don't agree with that. Because last year, Nolan and Noel was the same players, and Mitchell Robinson, they had no issues playing together. So I don't think that. I mean, the dude scored 4 points.
Did you hear what Tim just said?
I heard what Tim said.
What did he say?
I heard what he said. But I'm just saying.
They were knocking down their shots, though. That's the point. They were knocking down their perimeter shots, you can get away with having a center in the paint that really doesn't really matter because they're knocking down their shots from the outside. But when that's not happening, and everyone says that, eventually your shots are going to stop falling. If that's what all you rely on, then you have to be able to get inside and get some easier buckets. And I think it's more difficult when you have Mitchell Robinson out there because he kind of clogs the paint. He's a diver. Isaiah, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I just, again, right, this, I don't know. I feel like Julius Randle gets every excuse in the book. I'm not saying he gets every excuse in the book when he plays bad. And
who's making an excuse for him?
No,
I don't think anyone's making an excuse for him. Randle hasn't been playing good basketball. We said that from the beginning.
Yeah, I would say Julius Randle played like trash tonight. He played bad.
But he's played trash the whole season. This hasn't been good. He's been selling. Well, I'm going to say selling himself because right now it's looking like last year was a fluke with the dude. Again, right? Just lazy plays. Defense really hasn't been there all season. Just not hitting the shots he supposedly made all last year. The fadeaways, the baseline jumpers, the threes, just not all there. He doesn't look focused. Bad body language as always. It just, I don't know. This dude, to me, my opinion, he's got his money. Just hasn't been the same. He got his extension. He got his money. He doesn't look the same from what I've seen last year.
So are you, because I see somebody else, in the who gave me a super chat that I wanted to respond to about this very topic. Lewis Wilkinson, he said, I feel that Randle played us. He got his dollars before the season started, and now look at what we are getting. I am but that is where I stand. I'm not sure what you mean, but I get it. You say that's where you stand. Are you all saying that, he purposely got his money and then said, I'm not going to work anymore? Because I don't think that's the case.
I've seen players do that all the time.
I'm not saying that they don't do that. I don't think it's the case that he got his money and then said, okay, now I'm just not going to work anymore.
Or now I'm going to miss jump shots on purpose.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I think he's just not playing good basketball.
No, but hold on. My thing is that, okay, I'm not going to take it. I won't take it to the extreme that he got paid and just said F us. I'm going to say he got paid and is not putting in the same work that he did last year. That's what I think. I keep it like that because, again, everything that he's done, everything that he did last year is just not there.
See,
it really isn't.
To me, I don't think it
actually is.
But see, I don't think it comes down.
How is it? Where is it? Where
the only thing different.
We're not going to cut each other off. We're not going to cut each other off.
I'll explain it to you, Isaiah. The only thing difference between Julius last season and this season, he's not knocking down his outside shot. Turnovers are still the same. He's still isolating at the same clip, right? He still has the same usage rate. Everything is literally the same. The only difference is he's not knocking down the shot.
But you know that
points per game are down.
But you know what that shows me, Josh? That shows me that Yeah, okay. I know. I remember we all talked before the show that he's not a superstar. I'm not saying he's a superstar, but if you want to be considered a great player in this league, if you want to go from good to great, then you don't go from what you did last year to go to this. To me, that shows me that was a fluke. That you can't do that again.
Okay,
that you're not putting in the same work.
No. Hold on. Hold. Let me just jump in here right quick, because there's a difference between something being a fluke and not putting in the work. I think there's a big difference. If it's a fluke, it's a fluke, because you can put in the work and say, okay, you know what? Maybe he had a one-off season. It doesn't mean you're not putting in the work because you don't play at the same level. Those are two very different things. I've seen plenty of people put in the work and still can't play basketball. It doesn't mean, and maybe he's just coming down to the mean. He's just coming down to his average. Maybe this just is who he is, right? This just is who he is. Maybe that's just it. And maybe last year was a one-off season. I don't think that necessarily means he's not putting in the work anymore.
But it's okay. But hold on.
So I would just want to dispel that rumor, or whatever it is, or that narrative, because I just not gonna say, oh, just because he's not hitting his shot, he's not putting in the work. Oh, maybe he's just coming down to who he is.
Isaiah, look at the seasons before last season. He was not shooting that great from 3-point. Last season was like literally he shot the best season. So this
hold on.
Julius Randle is.
So is that not a fluke then?
That's not. We're not saying that. We're saying that doesn't mean he's not putting in the work. You said he's not putting in the work. What I'm saying is it doesn't mean he's not putting in the work. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was a one-off. Maybe this year he's coming back down to the average of who he is.
No. That's fair. So let me say this though. So I say I can agree with that. Maybe I won't say he's not putting in the work, and maybe that was the one-off. That last year was the fluke, and this is who he is. So that's now, But here's the frustrating part: is that we paid him.
Yeah, but he's still giving you. Hold on.
Okay.
Isaiah, he's still giving you 19 and 10 a game, and he's still a major
on bad efficiency with no defense.
But again, he's still a major part of the team. He does other things other than score. He does. We could have picked
up Carmelo Anthony. It would have been the same thing.
Do you want to trade him?
No.
Man, hold on. I won't even do the Carmelo thing. But yes, I want to trade him, bro.
That's fine if you want to trade him. Cool. Go ahead.
But hold on. But Sim, I'm just saying we're paying this dude close to $30 million to be.
No, he's not making $30 million. That's a lie.
I said close. I didn't say $30 million.
He makes $24 million that next season. He only makes $30 million in his last year, $32 million in his last season.
I said close to $30 million.
He's making 21 this season because his extension has not kicked in yet. His extension doesn't kick in.
I said close. I didn't say $30 million.
I'm telling you what he's making. He's making $21 million this season. His extension kicks in next season, and then is when his salary begins to rise.
Okay. All right. So, like I said before, he's making close to 30, maybe 24. Okay, whatever. Man.
All right.
You get mad about the
Go ahead.
You trying to make it sound better than it is. He's a player that's not good that we're going to be playing $20+ million. Yes, he's not good. Yes, he's not good. Bro, hold on, Josh.
Just go ahead and say what you're going to say. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
How are we going to trade him? How are we going to trade this dude or get any positive assets for him if he's going to be making all this money and he's not? And people are going to look at the seasons and see how he is. They're going to say, oh, well, he had that one good season when he was on NBA. Then he went back to reality where he's a bad 3-point shooter, turns over the ball, high usage player.
I mean, doesn't play
defense. But we're supposed to trade that to get
because here's the thing. His contract is actually what he is. It's not an overpaid contract.
Right.
That's the point. That's the reason why it was a good deal for the Knicks. Because if he would have played at the level that he played last season, he would be underpaid. Right now, he is who he is this year. And basically, that's what he's paid like. That's the salary of the NBA today. It is. That's the salary of the NBA today. It's not a horrible contract.
I don't want to go down this because we did it last show, but I'm just still trying to find a team that wants what he's doing right now on their team. at a lesser extent to pay him that money. I just want to see it. I just don't know the team.
From what I understand, the Sacramento Kings have had discussions about Julius Randle for De'Aaron Fox.
Please, I will.
I mean, you asked for a team, and I just gave it to you. Let's move on to the next person. Let's talk about R.J. Barrett tonight. R.J. Barrett, 17.6 rebounds and 2 assists. Didn't shoot well from the three-point line. 1 for 5 from the three-point line. Okay game. It's an okay game for R.J. Barrett. No turnovers tonight. He had 13 turnovers over his last 2 games. No turnovers tonight. All right, I'm going to come to Spree, who's on the line. We'll start with Spree. I know he's going to want to jump in about Julius Randle, and then we'll go on and get everybody else's thought on R.J. Barrett. Spree, what's popping with you, bro?
Thanks, Sam. I got a few things to say really quick. This was a low effort, bad body language, low IQ game. Sam, you know I defended Julius Randle more than most people.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know I like him. It was said that he would bring balance to the force. It was said he would destroy the Sith, not join them, not leave it in darkness. But he can't mentally, he can't lead. In the start of these games, Sam, the 4 points in 6 minutes, these are the games. When you have a game like the game before where you have a crushing loss, you have to come out and imprint in the game how you're going to play. We come into the game like we're the Golden State Warriors, playing loose, just trying to ease our way in, shoot. We're not the Golden State Warriors. We got to be aggressive. We got to find ways to get in the paint. If it's tough to get in the paint, move the ball. That means you don't have it. Get rid of it. We got to get in the paint. Okay, when you shoot half of your shots are from 3, I have a problem with that because I don't think the Knicks are a great generating 3 team. We're not. To me, these were not all open looks. So my issue with Julius, he's got to lead. Yes, he got fouled, but don't get the technical. Yes, you got fouled. I know it's human nature to get frustrated. How many times have I come on here, Sim, and said, just don't do the extra unnecessary thing, even though, yes, you got fouled? How many times, Sim?
Yeah, I hear you.
That was a big play because I knew they wouldn't come out right. I knew that would deflate them a little bit. We got it down to 4, Sim. I didn't want to get a technical to start the second half. How many times have we seen players collide on this team? That's another thing that drives me nuts. I don't understand why we can't make free throws. I don't understand. Maybe they're just not listening to Tibbs' voice. When a team tells you who they are after 46 games, you got to listen to them. This is what we are, Sim. I think we have to sell, and I hate it because I don't know what that means. The Randle thing is going to heat up, and it stinks because I really defended Julius Randle. I thought he could lead us to the promised land, to bring restore order in the galaxy because I saw something that maybe it was fool's gold. Maybe I don't know what to believe anymore, Sim. I don't even know. I really don't know what to do. I got nothing.
I don't know. I mean, you know what? Even last year or going into the offseason, I always felt like we needed a leader from your point guard spot, a leader. Always felt like we needed that. That's why I was a big proponent of Kyle Lowry. I really want the Knicks to try to get Kyle Lowry over the summer because I always felt like we needed a leader out there. I mean, it's clear that Julius Randle is not that kind of leader. And the Knicks don't have any at all.
So let me ask you this with Julius, okay? If he can't lead, who on this team can win to start it? Because clearly it's an issue. How many times do we start the game where we don't come out aggressive, come out with force, and even the third quarter? Like that to me is a lack of leadership and a lack of IQ and understanding of who you are as a team and execution. Like, who is that guy? Is it Kemba?
No.
Is it Julius?
No.
Who?
None. We don't have one. That's the issue.
That's the problem.
That is the problem. We don't have one at all. What's your take on R.J. Barrett tonight? So I want to get to a couple of super chats after this.
Just really quick, R.J., I just think he's still a young player. He has up and down games. I think the only three players really on this team, even though RJ's up and down, but the three players, and RJ needs to work on his field goal percentage, his free throws. We know the issues with RJ, turnovers, but RJ, IQ, and Grimes. I heard people criticize IQ for that three. Yeah, was it a quick shot? Yeah, but at least IQ's trying to do something. He's trying. Sam, there's 2 minutes left. I'm with you. I'm not killing IQ. Was it a rush shot? Yeah. Could we have gotten something better? Yeah. But IQ's the only one trying to create and do something to get us out of this. IQ can't get us out of a 25-point game by himself. To me, the only three guys on this team that I think I don't want to trade are RJ, IQ, and Grimes. Everybody else, I'll listen. And it stinks, but I think we're in a bad place, man. I don't know if I can fix it. I really don't. I thought I could fix this team. I can't. That's all I got, Sim. Hang in there.
It's a tough spot, man. Spree, appreciate you. Let me get to a couple of super chats here. Then I want to get in and talk about RJ. Donald Cannon, he said, so Julius is scared now, Sim? You're bugging. The only nervousness is him trying to play with these bum-ass players that can't stay healthy. A point guard whose knees are done, and other players who are off every other 5 games. I'm not saying that he's scared to play every single game, Don. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Julius Randle wants to go to the line in the last 2 minutes of the game. He was 2 for 4 from the free throw line tonight. And I do believe that everything that's going on with this team and with the fans and all of that kind of stuff is affecting him mentally and emotionally. That's just what I see. I'm a Randle fan. I'm just calling what I see. He also said, Sim, you're a coach. I'm sure your AAU team can defend this team. Randle is not the problem. Let's start with the coach. I mean, there's enough. Tom Thibodeau, listen, first of all, the whole, his defensive scheme, I do think it's antiquated. The whole, we got to, we got to be deep in the paint to protect the paint. And live with, guys shooting out there behind the line. Teams shoot too high of a percentage nowadays. You got to take a different approach on defense, in my opinion. I understand you want to protect the paint, and it can be really, really troublesome if a team really starts to get going in the paint. But you also got to be mindful of that three-point line. That's why it's so hard to defend teams. So I get it. Yeah, obviously Tom Thibodeau has to take some blame for everything that's going on as well, just as much as the players do. There's no doubt about it. Eddie F., he said, which stretch 5 makes sense for us to try and get now that Turner is hurt, assuming we don't get him after that for that reason. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd still try to go get Miles Turner. Because I don't think his injury, I don't know exactly what his injury is, but I think they said, 4 to 5 weeks? Or something like that? That he'll be back ready to play basketball. So, if you're talking about building your team for the longer run and not just making a run this year, then, yeah, he's someone that I would go get. And I seen, Big Bubba give his Santa Claus chuckle. You know what I'm saying? Miles Turner is This guy is one of your leaders in blocks. He can rebound the basketball. He can post up a little bit. He can shoot the ball from 3. He makes $18 million a year. Well worth it, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And even if you're going to trade Randle or someone else, I think he's a guy that you might want to have on your basketball team.
Or Mo Bamba, Sam. Or Mo Bamba, the same kind of similar skill set, but you get him for cheaper. You get him for cheaper.
I don't think Orlando, with the situation that they're in, they're a young team that's trying to build something. I don't think they're giving up Mo. The time Mo Bamba was last year.
Listen, I wasn't laughing about Miles. I actually want Miles Turner.
Okay, you were just chuckling. All right, you were just chuckling.
I think it's a very difficult skill set to try to get because there's not that many players like that in the NBA that can block shots and that can be able to stretch the floor, right? You obviously, that's a perfect skill set, I think, for this particular team. That's why it's kind of, it'll be easier to go, look in a different direction, probably in the, point guard, upgrade that spot than the center, right? I don't want to take anything away from, again, what Mitchell Robinson's doing because he's very important. But I think for this offense, I think that's one of the major reasons why we struggle to score points. It's because if we're not knocking down that shots from 3, we can't really score on inside like that. We don't have any guys that can really score on the inside. I think it would be easier for them to score inside if we had a center who can be able to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Josh, but I will say this too. This is where I put some of the blame on Thibs. I just don't think his offensive schemes are, how can I say it? They're just not it. And we talked about it before, and Sims even mentioned it before that it's not like football, right? It's not like football where, you got your head coach, and you can have a great offensive coordinator, like a genius one, and then have a defensive coordinator. But you can. I won't say it's like how Phil Jackson was with Ted Winter. Or Tex Winter? Is it Tex Winter or Ted Winter?
Tex Winter.
You're not always going to have that ability to have like a Tex Winter when you're Phil Jackson. But I do believe that you can get somebody maybe a little bit more offensive friendly on your coaching staff to help with your scheme. Because I just think Thibs, we should be running a lot more pick and rolls. We should be doing a lot more, just more pick and rolls and better. Because again, we don't even our bigs don't even set good screens to even get some of these guys better options. You know what I'm saying? So
okay, Isaiah, hold up. I'm gonna ask you something about that, right? So you want them to set more screens and do more pick and rolls, but yet we don't have the personnel to do so, right? So is that necessarily a coaching issue, or is it? I'm asking. Is that a coaching issue, or is that personnel issue? And then the second part is right. The second part is you mentioned pick and rolls, but what is some of the stuff you want to see the Knicks do? Like, I want to hear about some solutions because you're saying what we're not doing, but what should we be doing?
But hold on, but this is why I disagree, though. I disagree with that because we have players. Randle does lazy screens. Mitch does lazy screens. All these guys do, like, again, I hate doing this because I'm not trying to compare the best team, the Warriors, to the Knicks. But there is a problem to me when you got guys like the greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry, setting screens to get other players open. To me, that's just laziness. And again, I don't want people to think I'm comparing the Knicks to the Warriors, but you got players like that. You got all these even small guards doing that on certain teams, and we got legit 6'9" Randle, who's big and strong, who can set powerful screens. But they don't do it. They set lazy half-ass screens.
But that's what he's asking you. So then what is the solution if these guys are not setting screens? What is the solution offensively with who you have right now?
Because you mentioned that you don't like what Thibs is doing. You feel like you want to get someone in here that can run better offensive sets. So what are those? Or at least
help. I don't know the technical terms for them. I'm not play basketball. I don't know the technical terms for it. But I'm saying get a guy to help these guys understand that. Because to me, there's no excuse that some of these guys are on this team that can't do that. To me, again, I didn't play basketball growing up, like professional basketball. So tell me if I'm wrong if setting screens is basketball 101.
Well, let's put it like this. And big shout out to my man IQJ. He said, Sim, you're not saying anything negative. You're calling it how it is. What you see gets spoken about. Simple. That's the truth. What I see is what I'm going to speak about, whether or not I like the player or not. Like if I like Big Bubba, but I'm going to call him out on some stuff sometimes. You know what I mean? One of my favorite people in the world, but I'm going to call him out on stuff sometimes.
Hey, I love you too.
But to answer your question, it all depends on what the coach is asking you to do. Because there's so many different types of screens, right? Like, let's take Mitchell Robinson, for example. If the coach is asking him to slip the screen and go to the basket, then you may not see Mitchell Robinson make contact.
Right.
If the coach is asking you to stick the screen, right, then you might see him stand there, boom, strong. So that the player really does run off the screen. Also, while we all want to blame the screener, sometimes you have to look at the person who's getting the screen. Because really, the job of the ball handler is to bring your defender to the screen. Come off the screen rubbing your shoulder. Right? So that way there's no place for the defender to step over the screen. Right? So you really do have to look at what the coach is asking the player to do and then, what the total scheme is. and also what the ball handler is doing. Because the ball handler can be at as much fault as the person setting the screen. If the ball handler goes too soon, that screen may not be effective at all. Or you may get called for an offensive foul. Plenty of times you'll see Mitch or Randle or Taj get called for an offensive foul, and sometimes it's the ball handler's fault because that ball handler just went a little bit too soon. And Mitch is still stepping into his screen while the ball handler is going to come off the screen. Boop, the ref calls a foul on Mitch. Right, so there's a lot that goes into screening, a screen and roll. It's not just a simple screen and roll. Sometimes it is a slip, so you're not making contact. Depending on what the defense does. So there's a lot more that goes into it.
No, and I agree with that. And I know it's just not simple as saying, well, we got to set harder. I know it's not that simple, but I also think what's going on is that to me is just certain things. The emphasis is not there. And again, I know, and I know we've been preaching about this too. It's just about we got to get some of these guys moving. Like, sitting in the corner all the time and just letting Randle go one-on-one. That's just it isn't working. It just because even to me last year we had a little bit of issues when Randle went handle ball sometimes versus us just having the ball movement. Because again, you said it before. You don't have to be the best team, but if you can move without the ball, I don't care how good your defense is. You're gonna get some of these guys moving. You're gonna get some good cuts. And again, I don't think we take advantage of RJ being a good cutter, which he naturally is a good cutter. I don't think we take advantage of some of these guys that can move without the ball. I really don't think we take advantage of that. And again, I don't know if this is fully just Thibs, because again, throughout his history, Thibs has been on and off when it comes to having his teams being great offensive teams versus being great defensive teams versus defense being great versus then the offense is bad, then the offense is good, then the defense is bad. The offensive ratings have been up and down for some of his teams. So it just
the only thing I'm going to say is this: when you have a team that's mediocre, that's what it's going to be like. Your offensive rating goes up, your defensive rating, is doing good, then it's going down, then your offensive rating goes down. That's what it's like when you have a mediocre basketball team, which very clearly this is what the New York Knicks are, a mediocre basketball team.
The most unfortunate.
That's what happens. Let me get to this phone call. And then we'll, try to get to some other players on the list. I don't want to, just keep it to Randle or Thibs. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hello, what's up? How y'all doing? It's Gavin from Duval County.
Gavin, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing, Tim. I just tonight's game, I will say a few things about the Knicks. I think something that the Knicks do a great job of is playing down to the level of competition and coming out very slow with really no fire under them, and you can see it by the way they play. And most games we tend to get down early, like you said in the pregame show. You can't go out there and spot teams 10, 12 points, and that's exactly what they did right off the bat. The thing about the Knicks is anytime we get down, we always try to shoot ourselves out of it from the three-point line, and we are not a great three-point shooting team. I took note of it tonight. In the second quarter, we were in the bonus with 5 minutes left. We took 8 three-point shots and got to the line 3 times. The third quarter, we were in the bonus with 7 minutes left, took 7 three-point shots, got to the line twice. In the fourth quarter, we were in the bonus with 8 minutes left, and I believe we took 6 three-point shots, and I think we only got to the line maybe twice, maybe 3 times. The bonus is literally there to help you. The Knicks need to stop trying to shoot themselves out of a slump and out of these big leads and get to the free throw line. Now, the thing with that, my keys were tonight is we had to win the free throw matchup, turnover and three-point, and we lost all of those. Another thing that we need to stop doing is a lot of times, and this is Randle, Kemba, and a few other players, is getting back on made baskets. When we make baskets, when our shot goes in, we are very slow to get back on defense. And when we don't get foul calls, we sit there arguing with the refs. And I think it happened 2 or 3 times tonight where Randle got into it with the refs and New Orleans went and started running. And that's just spotting people free baskets. The last thing I'll say is I'm not going to trash Randle, but what I will say about Randle is with this being his third year with New York, I don't think that after last year he got the bag and got comfortable as far as a work ethic wise, but I do think he got comfortable from his mentality wise. And what I mean by that is in Julius Randle's career so far in the NBA, he's never been a number one option type player or looked at to be the number one option. Last year, I think it was an understood thing that Randle was the go-to. Mm-hmm. I think that what happened this year is once we got the acquisitions of Kimball and Fournier, I think that he thought his job was going to be a lot easier. And with them not giving the performance that we were all expecting, that's not the case. And what I'll say for Randle is he does look scared. Like tonight, the thing I can respect about Quickly, Burks, Fournier, Kemba, if they go into a shooting slump or are not, hitting at a high clip, they will still shoot the ball and go look to get a bucket. Randle will miss 5-6 shots in a row, and because we have bashed him so much about his poor shooting performances, he literally, like tonight, didn't look like he wanted the ball at all, and we're basically playing 4-on-5 because when he gets in his head, it doesn't look smooth for him. And so I just think that there's a lot of pressure that comes with the expectation of being the number one option for a team. And I just don't, honestly, I don't think that Julius Randle wants all of that pressure on him that's expected to go out there and perform every single night, because that takes a special kind of player and a special type of mental makeup that I don't think that Julius Randle has. And I think that he is more comfortable being a supporting role in an offense. But honestly, I think the last 6 or 7 games, our free throws have been atrocious. I would say this is the first night that the bench has looked a little bit better, but it's still not where it needs to be. But with this stretch of the schedule going in, this is looking like it may be the make or break point of the season, and we will have to get some things figured out. But, I mean, this one's behind us. It's on to the next one, and we need to figure out what we're going to do to get ready for the next game. So that's all I have for you guys. You guys have a blessed one and stay safe.
Appreciate you, Gavin. Appreciate your time, man. And you know what? I do agree that Randle probably does feel more comfortable and probably wants someone else that can take that pressure off of him, because I think he's realizing, and obviously all of us are realizing that, he doesn't have that mental makeup, at least not right now. You know what I mean? And it's coming through in his game. It's coming through in his game. So, we're gonna see where things go from here. Big shout out to Julian Tran. He said, remember, after Boogate, I said I was concerned that fans are in Randle's head. Is it time to panic yet? Emotional Randle is going to be inconsistent, and very true. We see that already. Emotional Randle is inconsistent, And this is where, I hate to go back to it, this is where I think we miss Mike Woodson. You know what I mean? He's that counselor. He's that guy that can sit down and talk to these players, and help them sort through some things. I think we miss him, man. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
This is Isaac from Tuxedo.
What's going on with you, man?
Yeah. Nothing much, man. Just, enjoying another loss. Man, first of all, says, let me just tell you, you got the hottest intro music
Appreciate
out there.
That.
Of everybody, man. I love Bart and Han. They got a hot one, but you got the hottest one now.
Appreciate that.
So
big shout out to D.O.,
nice.
man. D.O. Big shout out to D.O. for that. I thank you for that, bro. Appreciate it.
No doubt. But, man, I'm simple out here. I want Tibbs gone. That's just how I feel. I know everybody got their different perspectives and everything. But Tibbs got to go. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but he's just not the coach for this team. There's obviously some type of I won't say friction, but I don't know. There's like a loss of identity or a plan that we just don't know. Like Leon Rose is getting players that Tibbs more than likely don't really want to play. He don't play the young guys. We drafted well. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say he don't play the young guys. I know that's a whole debate thing, but I want to see Obi more. I want to see Obi get in there running with RJ, running with Quick. Whenever Obi gets to play with a decent guard who can get to the rack, he usually plays well. And, you know, I know Quickly has his ups and downs, but it's his second year. His first year was a full COVID year. No camp, nothing like that. So these guys, you know, they need to have time to develop. We're not going to win a championship. Everybody knows that anytime soon. I feel like we need to build organically. You know, if you look at the sound organizations around, they build from the draft and then they add veteran players in to mesh well and to mold these young players, but they keep the young guys as the core. You know, you get a couple teams that might be able to just pick free agents, but we're not getting that. We haven't got it for years. So, you know, to try to pack up all our young pieces to try to go get a superstar somewhere, I don't really see where that comes from. People talk about Fox, they talk about Ben Simmons. Those teams want the house. So we could give away the farm, bring in Ben Simmons, then we're gonna get mad at him for not shooting. We could go ahead and get De'Aaron Fox. Then when he might, you know what I mean, he might get to the lane and get some buckets. But then when we still losing because we ain't got nobody around him, we're gonna be upset about that. We need to build this young core, this young side. And I'm not saying any of these guys are gonna be superstars, but develop them. Let them get 3 years together, 4 years together. Then add some good, solid veterans in. We don't have any free agents really coming up in the next year to 2 years. Maybe in the second year, I think in 2 years from now, they might be a decent free agent class. But you know what I mean? Like right now, there's no main pieces that we can really get. Even that dude Brunson, like I don't want to trade Obi and a pick for him. He's under 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? He's cool. He's shifty and everything, but he's not going to really help us to get to the level that we want to, and he's just going to be a rental. He's not going to be somebody we want to really keep for 5, 6, 7 years. So that's all I want to see. But Tibbs got to go. He don't got no offensive game plan. He's known for defense. We don't got no defense. So it's like, what is he really doing? And he don't motivate none of the players. He only yells at Obi. I literally saw him. Everybody knows. Let me ask you, Sins. What is Obi's weakest part of his? What's the weakest part of Obi's game?
The weakest part of his game?
Yeah. What's the one that all the fans know? Like, all right, he got to really work on that.
I mean, you know, most fans know his defense.
Rebounding.
You know, you got to work on his defense. You know,
Three-point
footwork.
shooting.
You know,
Okay.
is an issue with Obi.
But I'm sorry, on the offensive side, let me be more specific.
Oh, on the offensive side, 3-point shooting, without a doubt. 3-point shooting and posting up.
I know you saw, just like me, quickly had the ball. What did Tibbs do? He told Obi to go in the corner. Now, why would you sit this athletic freak over there on the corner and say, just sit over there and camp out?
Well, I mean,
he should be involved in pick and rolls. Do something to get the young guy acclimated to playing basketball. You can't put him in his weakest spot on the court and then say, do something for me. You got to give him, you know what I mean? You got to, you know, I know I hear from the show you coach. You can't put a player that you want to succeed in the weakest position for them to, you know what I mean? They're not going to do well.
I hear what you're saying.
So why not run some pick and rolls? And I'm not saying he's going to be the star again. He doesn't need to take Julius' spot necessarily, even though Julius got to go. But he don't need to take his spot necessarily and be the star. I just want him to develop. I just want him to
Who going to stay, bro? Who going to stay?
Huh?
Who gonna stay? He said, "Hey, y'all know."
Tibbs and Julius is a package deal, man. Put them both out there.
Wait, hold on. I do want to say something. Wait, I do want to say one thing to you, right? What was your name again, brother? I'm sorry. What's your name?
Isaac.
Isaac. Hey, my father calls me Isaac. That's actually funny. No, I will say this. So one big problem I think what you're getting is that this is okay. So this is the thing with the front office, right? Especially with drafting young players, because I do agree with you. I'm kind of more on that train building through the draft and developing organically. But I can't lie to you, these last couple of front offices just have been so confusing to me. Like, again, right, I don't care what nobody says. You don't draft Obi and then extend Julius Randle, right? Exactly. So I really believe at that point last season that they didn't want to keep Randle, but then Randle had this amazing season. Because again, you don't draft I don't care what nobody says. You don't draft a top power forward in the draft, have him sit on the bench. Don't do that.
Don't. Absolutely.
So I would say this though, because we got to be careful because we got to they got Grimes. They did quickly. I'll give them that. They drafted quickly and they drafted Grimes, drafted McBride, some good solid players. But it's just like I just don't understand what this front office is trying to do because again, that Obi pick to me just wasn't it. And there's a lot of we all know the story about Leon Rose, his son, the agent with Obi and all that other stuff. So that was just probably just that kind of pick. But again, it's just frustrating because it's like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to have youth and win because you got D Rose, you got Todd, you bring Thibodeau in here that just we know what he is when it comes to having a young team like that. It's just I'm confused about what this team wants to be because you can't be both. You can't be the Warriors and have some young players, but your main core is pretty much old veterans. You can't be like you can't be like that. So you got to pick which one, and then you got to draft correctly. That's the key because you can be the Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings get top 5 picks every year, and it's still a crap show. So it's about picking the right players. That's what it's really about. It's about picking the.
You got to do both. Yeah. You got to do both in a wise, strategic way. Again, you don't give veterans that are gonna take away the ability to develop your young players. You know what I mean? We all remember, again, I'll go back to the Warriors. And one, because I just admire their offense. I wish we could run something like that. I ran better offense in middle school than Tibbs runs. Like, this is terrible. It's predictable. Everybody knows what they're doing. But I go back to the Warriors. You remember they had Steph Curry and they had Monte Ellis. What did they do with Monte Ellis? Monte Ellis was getting buckets. Everybody loved Monte in the Bay. But they had to make a decision. They said, we can't play Monte because it's not going to work out. We're helping Steph be able to be who he is. So we got to take a chance. Who we going to pick? And they decided to go with Steph. And they continued to draft well, and they put the right veterans around them. Andre Iguodala, David Lee, Bogut, people who can play with them, not to take away their shine. And you're right. They made a terrible decision with the Obi thing. And I'm on record. I didn't want Obi. In the draft, I was like, why do we draft a power forward? We need a point guard. Everybody knows we've been needing a point guard since Stephon Marbury. Yeah, well. We need a point guard. They didn't draft him. But now that I see Obi playing, I like Obi. I like the energy he's bringing. He's homegrown. And then I'm looking at Julius. I don't know why they gave Julius this contract because he played one bad season with us. And then he played one really good season. Well, I mean, let him continue to play out and see what he's going to do in that third season. Yeah. Everybody know contracts. You're going to ball out, of course.
Yeah. But look, Lee, I'm going to let you go because we got some other people. And then, I'm going to just answer a couple of things. I appreciate you, man. I mean, Isaac, not Lee. I don't know why I called you Lee. You said David Lee. I don't know. Isaac, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, salute, fam.
People keep saying
that was a funny call.
But look, people keep saying this about the contract. Right, and still here we are on Julius Randle again, trying to move forward on Julius Randle again. But the thing is, what I don't think people get is that becomes an asset for you, right? Because it's obvious right now when you look at things going forward, it's not going to be a big name on the market that you're going to sign. So, okay, you sign Julius Randle to this contract, a decent contract, a fair contract. If he performs better, it's worth more. If he performs like he's performing now, then it is what it is. But when it comes to having that ability to sign a big name free agent not big name free agent, I'm sorry, to trade for somebody, you have $21, $22, $24 million that you can find a way to maneuver, a 3-team trade, whatever it is. So it's that type of thing. You know what I mean? It's funny, just like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, whatever it is, everybody was lauding the front office. Everybody was, all over Twitter was like, look what this front office did. Look at that. And the third, now.
And also, I don't like the narrative.
Of course, we were in the midst of a 3-game winning streak, and then we got Cam Reddish and all of that kind of stuff. Right. The bottom line is the Knicks, Julius Randle and the Knicks are playing terrible basketball, and, it's starting to get scary when you look at what's going on with the standings and all that kind of stuff. That's the bottom line of it all. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
I'm calling from New York City, but I live out here in Japan.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's going on, Carlton? How you feeling?
I've been there.
Yeah, I'm looking at y'all on YouTube, and I'm a little bit behind from what y'all saying.
Yeah.
But I got one quick question, because I noticed this been coming up a lot. Is we said we need a point guard. We got McBride. What is going on with that kid? I seen him play a really good game. Then I seen the next game he was kind of so-so. But are they developing him? And are they even considering him? Because people keep mentioning we don't have a point guard. We got Rose, we got McBride, we got, of course, we got the other kid, but he ain't doing too great. But we got McBride. What is going on with him?
Yeah, I think it's more. I think they are developing McBride. You know what I mean? That's the part of the reason why he goes down to the G League and plays some games, and then he comes back and he's with the team. I think they are. I don't know. I would like to see him get more minutes. I don't know if he's ready to be your full-time starting point guard. I definitely know he's not ready to do that. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. I agree with that too. But at the same time, I've also looked at. I heard them comparing us to Golden State Warriors in a conversation here that I'm looking at here. And what I noticed that the Golden State Warriors did is they had a lot of rookies playing for the last 2 to 3 years with Green and Curry. And they developed those players, and now look at them. They have flourished. They've got a combination of all those young players along with those veterans on the team. Why can't we do a similar thing? Instead of, give those rookies some time to play, to develop. They're going to crash and burn before they learn, until they learn.
No, I get it. I think we do have a lot of young guys playing. I think it's not always the guys that people want to play, but we got a lot of young guys that's playing basketball right now on this team. I mean, over 50% of our 10-man rotation are young guys. You know what I mean? You look like Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly's in his second year, Obi Toppin's in his second year, RJ Barrett's in his third year. Mitch is just 22 years old. Like, these guys we got a lot of young guys playing on this team.
So, yeah, I noticed that, but I would like to see them get more time on the floor so they can develop. I understand having the older fellas there, because they can mentor them. Yeah. But they need to get on that floor to get a real feeling for what's going on. That practice is it looks like it's not enough.
No, I hear you, and I do think we can use Miles McBride. There's been some situations where we could have really used his defense out there, no doubt about it. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. In the next, I tell you what, in the next month and a half, we'll know a lot about this team and where they're headed, because they're moving into a tough stretch. They can't make it through this stretch. You're gonna see a lot of young guys out there playing. Trust me, see a lot of them.
Yeah, I see that. We're only 7 games out from first, so it's not that bad. I mean, if we can turn it around at some point here pretty soon, we'd be looking pretty good to at least get in. I mean, we don't want to do the buy-in, but we want to be in the actual playoff position, so it don't be that hard.
That's what we would like to do.
I think we still have a shot.
Yeah, that's what we would like to do, but we got to leapfrog some teams to do it. But, hey, Carlton, I appreciate you, man, and be safe over there in Japan, man.
Hey, I live out here in Japan, so I'm holding it down for y'all.
All right.
I'm still watching y'all every day.
We appreciate you, man. Call in more often. We're looking forward to it.
Salute.
All right, I will do.
All right. Yeah, let me get to another caller here, man. I mean, people People, talk about the young guys, but we do got a lot of young guys out there playing and getting some good minutes. You know what I mean? Getting some good minutes. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Amar from Atlanta.
What's going on, Amar? How you feeling, man?
I got nothing to say, man.
Hold up, though.
I got nothing to say. That game was embarrassing, man. That game was embarrassing.
That was a tough one.
Tibbs, he got to go, yo. He got to go. He got to go. Like, I tried to, wait it out because I know for a fact this season, a lot of, injuries and stuff with our players, but it's like Tibbs is like, I don't know what's wrong with him. Like last game against the Timberwolves, you hearing the crowd chanting Obi, 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 and it's like instead of putting Obi in, you put Alec Burks, and it's like, what are you doing? It's like he loved veterans, and then Taj Gibson, like you have him on the court and Obi getting no type of minutes. It's like why you draft him in the first place? And Tibbs wanted Obi.
I mean, I don't know if he. I don't know if he did. Maybe he did. I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. Guys. Say that again. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm saying that he drafted. He helped draft Obi. He helped draft McBride. You don't even use these guys. And then Jericho Sims is on the bench too.
Right.
Nobody knew that Julius Randle was gonna go off and have an All NBA season. We drafted Obi. We also took Obi because he was one of the top scouted talents available in that draft, and he fell from being projected as a top 3 to 5 pick to being number 8. And we also thought that, and we needed talent and he was athletic and explosive, and we thought that he was going to be NBA ready and good to go, hit the ground running type of player. He took some time to take his lumps and to figure things out. He had a much better first stretch of this season, and toward the end of last season, he did well in the playoffs. He kind of emerged in the playoffs. But when a guy's having an All-NBA season, you extend him and you hand him the keys and you say, all right, we're going to rock out. We're going to see what's good. That doesn't mean that we're stuck with the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a favorable contract situation. Obi Toppin has not been showing us what we need to see from him for him to take over as a starter. I think it would be a disaster for him to have that pressure on him immediately right now. We could try to ease him into that role, but honestly, the solution might be somebody else entirely that we're not even thinking about because we can't even play him yet, like Cam Reddish. And Cam Reddish might make this problem real simple for us. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Obi, I know there's definitely something between him and Tom Thibodeau, and I'm not saying they don't like each other, but just about playing time and Obi maybe not doing what Tom Thibodeau wants. And maybe that's the reason why he's not out there on the floor. We don't know. We can't see what's happening in practice and what is being asked and so on and so forth, right? A lot of times there are very, very small things that from the naked eye, we just don't know that's happening or not happening. Rotations or who's supposed to make this kind of defensive read. We don't know. They know. And, Tom Thibodeau might know what Obi is or is not doing, and that's probably the reason why he's not out there on the floor. That being said, if you look at Obi tonight in 18 minutes, he basically gave you nothing out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, there are nights when he's looked really, really good. One of the biggest issues with Obi is he's got to have a point guard with him. He's got to have someone who's looking for him running to the rim. Yeah. When you're looking for someone that's going to be a staple of your offense, I don't think it can be a guy like that, because it means if he doesn't have a point guard or someone who can find him, he has a hard time making anything else happen. You know, and I think that's the issue that Obi is having right now. Hopefully, it's not going to be like that for his entire career. You know, hopefully he's gonna, his game is gonna grow. He's gonna, become a more of an offensive threat. But Obi tonight, 18 minutes, he took 1 shot and had 2 rebounds.
Yeah, you think he was nervous, like, because he know how Tom Thibodeau is? Because every time Obi do a little mistake, he always take him out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Obi is too safe of a player. If you want to say I don't know if he's nervous, but I think he's too safe of a player. Because even when he was starting, the first game that he started, it was his first game starting. So, you might be a little nervous out there, whatever. But, I think he had 5 points, and he stuck right. Whatever the play said to do, that's what Obi's doing. And it can't always work like that, especially if you're going to be a staple of the offense. So, listen, Obi has a lot to learn about being a starting power forward in this league. I don't think he's ready for that role right now.
Hey, Sim, can I say something real quick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so look, right, again, I don't want to harp on Obi, and I don't want to beat Obi up, but I remember last year during the summer when we talked about the players that we wanted to get on the team, and to me, I don't know what the coaching I'm not gonna say the coaching staff, but the scouting staff is looking at with Obi, man. But there was just a lot of red flags that you've seen with the kid. And look, I know his heart's in the right place. He's a New York kid. He wants to play. He has positive energy. But I just think that pick just wasn't a Tom Thibodeau guy. That wasn't the pick that we should have made. And it's just a lot of the things, like you said, listen, this is a make and miss league. You got to get your opportunities when you can. You can't come out there in 18 minutes and give you basically nothing, and you want to get more minutes, and then you get upset when Tom Thibodeau pulls you out. You got to. I hate saying keep what you kill, but you got to do something, man, to keep doing. Because what you were doing earlier in the season. Come up here with
those Fizdale references, man. Chill out with the Fizdale references. I know it's bad but chill out with the Fizdale references.
No, but I know, man. But no, what I'm saying is that it's just like early in the season, man. Obi, he came in high energy. You saw the difference that he was making. I think these last games are just. I don't want to say killed his confidence, but I feel like he's reverting back to what he was his freshman year, his rookie year in the NBA. And to me, this was just always the red flag with Obi, is that he was just an old rookie, and that maybe his ceiling was wasn't that high. And you were banking on the immediate success versus the long-term success of Obi. And right now you're getting no return basically for the short term that you thought you were going to get with Obi. So it's just very frustrating to see that with Obi right now. It just is.
Yeah, it's no doubt about it. And Isaiah Gmo said, you got to get rid of that Obama phone and upgrade or something because, internet, Wi-Fi.
First of all, I'll get rid of the Obama phone when he gets rid of them medium V-necks.
I mean, all I'm saying is, I could only hear 2/3 of all. The only thing I heard with that was V-necks. That's it. I don't know what else you said. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But hey, my man, thank you for the call, bro. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let me get you a couple super chats, and then we'll go ahead and just hold that thought right there. All right. Big shout out to Lewis Wilkinson. Thank you for the super chat. A couple of super chats tonight, man. I appreciate that. He said, I'm hoping to one day come on to your show and bring some knowledge. Basically, Isaiah, he's saying he wants to replace you. He said, but brother, you and the young group of gentlemen keep doing what you are doing. I appreciate that, Lewis. Thank you. Thank you a whole lot. He also said, I was about to say the same thing about Mike Woodson. He said, Mike Woodson is missed. The Rose is missed. And the young bloods need to play. And there goes Isaiah and his Obama phone dropping them up out of the show. So we'll go ahead and move Isaiah up out of here. 1975.
And you down bad, Sim. And you know you down bad when you work at the phone place and you can't get a phone.
Oh, no, he don't work there anymore. So now we know what's going on.
Now we know what's going on.
1975 Jamrock said more flares and pin downs for Grimes, quickly, and Evan Fournier. More pick and roll between Julius Randle and Rose. More horn flex action with Julius Randle, Burks, Rose, and add a little bit more motion. That is one thing. We don't have a lot of motion to our offense. You know, I would definitely like to see more motion, but you got to have the guys that can do it. You know,
and if they're not healthy, you can't play them.
If they're not healthy, you can't play them. The only thing I would say, though, is, you know, in some ways you got to try some of those things to see if the guys that you have can do it. You know,
tell me something.
You know, so there could definitely be more. But let me come to Uncle Fulio first, and then I'll come back to you, Savvy. Josh, you said you wanted to respond to something the caller said, the last caller.
Well, I was basically about the whole Obi thing, but I do agree with that super chat. We definitely need to run more motion. A lot of times we pass the ball and guys just don't move. Like one of the key staples of the motion offense is you pass and then you move, right? And we don't do that at all. It doesn't seem like, right? But in regards to Obi, yeah, I think Savvy hit it on the head when he said that at the time, you know, people want to look at these things in hindsight. Right now, because Obi's not doing so well, now people want to criticize the front office. Oh, we could have got this player. We could have got that player. At the time when we drafted Obi, a lot of people were saying we need more talent. And where Obi was drafted, he was the most talented player available on the board, right? And I think at the time, the front office was not sold on Julius Randle. Like Savvy said, he had the season that he had. They realized that they could be able to run the offense around him and that he can have that type of season. So that's why they gave him the contract. And now Obi, you know, for as much as people want to say they want to see Obi hopping on the floor, like it feels like Knicks fans have a lot more potential in Obi than a lot of other teams. And if that's the case, if Obi does have potential, by drafting him, you have him as an asset. You can be able to move him, right? You know, the team as currently constructed is not going to be the finished product, right? The Knicks have assets they can move, whether it be Julius or whether it be Obi. So if Obi has so much potential, why not see what you can get for him on the open market if you know that him and Julius are not going to coexist together on as far as the minutes are concerned, right? So that's how I'm looking at it. So just because we have Obi and we drafted him at 8, I feel like we can still move him and we can get more talent, kind of similar to what we did with Kevin Knox. We moved him and we were able to get Cam Reddish. So that's the way I'm looking at it, and I think that's exactly what the Knicks are going to do.
Okay. All right. Savvy? Go ahead. You had something you want to jump in there with.
I wanted to say this, right? Because a central theme of this is like, you know, about things that cripple our offense. If we bring in Cam, if Cam gets healthy and he starts to get minutes off the bench, right, and we see that he can run the rim, score in the paint, post up, and hit his free throws and shoot from the outside relatively reliably, do you see a situation where he comes to replace a lot of Julius Randle's minutes in the end of games where foul shots would count for a lot?
Say that again. I missed some of it. I missed some of it.
Right. Essentially, we're talking about Obi not being ready to take over and Julius not being able to do things for us down the stretch, like hit foul shots. And so that's crippling our offense because he's not taking as many shots as he should take, and he's not taking it inside for whatever reason that may be. Would you see a scenario, let's say Cam Reddish starts to get a good share of minutes somewhere later on in the season. Do you see him finishing games for us if he's a reliable free throw shooter?
I think
can do
if
things to a comparable level.
I think if he's producing, okay, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, does on a consistent basis, does he play Cam Reddish over Randle? Probably not. Tom Thibodeau really likes Randle. On a night-to-night basis, if Randle just isn't going well and Cam Reddish is, maybe so. But I don't think it's going to be consistent. I think there will still be times where Tibbs is like, let me pull him back in. You know what I mean?
And that being said,
and it may not be the best play. It may not be the best play. But like I said before, in the previous game, after the previous game, or after the Minnesota game, whatever it was. Yeah, Minnesota game. Tom Thibodeau goes with who he trusts. And he doesn't know Cam Reddish yet. So it's going to take him some time to build that trust, I think. Right or wrong, if it's the right or wrong move, that's just what I think Tom Thibodeau does.
And that, in my mind, makes it 3 times as likely for Obi to be getting traded soon, because if Cam can provide the relief for Randle that Obi can't provide, then I don't see any logical reason why we would not use him as an asset in the trade to try to get maybe a point guard or a stretch 5.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Lewis Wilkinson, speaking on Obi in a trade, said, I'm going to tell you, if you trade Obi, it is going to be a mistake. Every time we trade a player, they either play outstanding or win a championship with another team.
Sam, I guarantee you, if the Knicks wouldn't have drafted Obi and they would have drafted Halliburton or whoever, and Obi would have went to another team and would have been balling out, and people who still would have Julius Randle right now, everyone would have been like, "Oh, we should have drafted Obi. We had a chance to draft Obi. This, and that. Blah 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 blah." Like you just can't win with these type of situations. Everyone is always going to look at this kind of stuff in hindsight, particularly when it comes to Knicks fans. That's just what we do. Right? If Obi had that much potential and we would have drafted Halliburton and some, whoever else was there available on the board, I can't remember exactly who, or a Denny Abdi or something, and Obi would have been balling out on another team, you would have been hearing that the whole time. Front office messed up. They should have drafted Obi top and he was there. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And also, it's easier to ball out in a place like Utah or like, some other market, some undesirable market that you might get traded to, than it is to do it at Madison Square Garden. You know what I'm saying? Look at what Bobby Portis did in Milwaukee, and then look at what he did for the Knicks, whether it was a down year or not. And also, that's just not true. We trade players all the time that don't do nothing when they go somewhere else. All right? So, I mean, I see what he's trying to say, but that's more true about RJ than anything. I think RJ is the one that's going to come back to bite us if we trade him. That's why, to me, he's untradeable, because he's got it all upstairs. Some people don't have it all upstairs, and you could tell. And that's when you be like, all right, this guy could be expendable, at some time real soon.
Yeah. All right. One more super chat, then I'm going to get to phone call. 1975 Jam Rock said, thank you for the super chat, by the way. He said, the growth that Tibbs said he experienced while being out of the game, I'm just not seeing it. When he shadowed Kerr, Pop, I believe Budenholzer, zero growth. You know what? It takes more than just shadowing someone to get that kind of growth, right? You really got to put it in practice, before you can actually even say you had any kind of growth. You got to make it happen first. So I dig what you're saying there, Jam Rock. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hello. Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm all right. My name is AC. I'm calling from South Carolina.
All right. What's going on, AC?
Man, I'm just a couple of points, y'all. Couple of points. First of all, I mean, let me ask y'all something. This game tonight, we lost to Minnesota. Young team, 3 guys. Who are the 3 guys that we got on our team that we can say we're going to build for the future?
Right now we're not sure. We thought Julius Randle. We're not sure. We're not sure.
We're not sure.
Let's put it like that.
And that's my point. I'm not sure if Leon and Tibbs is on the same page, because it seems like he's getting guys in that want to be for the future. You know what I mean? We got 9 young guys under 25 years old, but we starting Fournier. We got Burks up in there. These guys are 30, or even Randle. These guys, I mean, we know that we're not going to go to the promised land with those guys. We got to start playing. I'm ready to sell. And everybody who talk about, well, we couldn't pay Julius's money. Julius earned that money. He had to get that money. We didn't. You didn't know what Julius was going to be, so he had to get that money. And Leon Rose, they love Obi. So I'm like, I think they got to cut ties and say, listen, we just gonna have to go. We gonna be bad anyway for the next 2 to 3 years, but we got to find out who our 3 guys are. When we played Minnesota, they got Cat, they got Edwards, and they got the point guard. What's his name? What's the young point guard they got over there in Minnesota?
D'Angelo
I can't think his name.
D'Angelo.
D'Angelo, yeah. So, I mean, like, everybody, they got 3 guys. You know, they always got to have these 3 guys. Cam, he might could be it, but he ain't going to get no minutes if Fournier's still there. You know, Obi might be it, but he ain't going to get no minutes if Randle's still there. I mean, we got to see who these 3 guys are. We got to find out. Then you can talk about getting Turner, because what's the sense of getting Evan Turner and you don't know who your 3 main guys are? Evan Turner's not like a star guy. What's the sense of getting Brunson and we don't know who our 3 guys are? He's got like $50-something million right now. He's turning down. So when you want like $60-70 million, you gonna pay that for Brunson? To give you what, 16 and 7? I mean, you got to know. We got to know who we are, what 3 guys we got. Once we get those 3 guys, then you talk about moving up. You can't build if you don't know what you started from. How you got a foundation? We don't have no foundation yet. So I'm like, look, I'll just rather just keep everything going.
I have 2 out of 3 for you.
And just keep building.
2 out of 3 for you. RJ and Mitch. I feel like we could do well if. I think we could do well if we keep RJ and Mitch. The third one is a toss-up. You know, normally I would say Randle, but see, normally I would say Randle, but I feel like the premise of your question rests on Randle not being one of them.
Yeah, but now we got to make a decision on Mitch, right? So Mitch is going to be, he's not going to be getting that huge money, but we got to make a decision on Mitch. So now if we go out and get Evan Turner, so now where does that put Mitch? He making more than Mitch.
You talking Miles Turner?
Yeah, Miles Turner, right? Turner. You see what I'm saying?
Caller, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
Did you think the Knicks were building something? Did you think that they had a foundation last year? And if so, what changed?
I think last year we were building something, because I was always about the youth. Nothing changed, in my opinion. The only difference that changed was the fact that they signed Randle. But like I said, they had to sign Randle. So I didn't think nothing changed. The change that I see is, I was thinking that when I hear that Tibbs want McBride and he wanted Grimes, I just thought those guys were going to be getting more minutes. When I see Leon Rose jumping in the war room, pumping his fist when he got Obi, like we got the first round pick, I thought that we was going to see him. And my thing was, okay, we'll bring up those young guys alongside those guys. But when you see Taj Gibson getting 20 minutes a game and Obi getting 8, it's like, well, what are we doing here? When we seeing Burks coming in and, these guys ain't getting playing time, I'm just like, I don't know what they doing.
Caller, so this is why I kind of disagree with you, because you said that you don't think anything changed and you thought that they were building something last year. Like, I'm not going to say that the Knicks all of a sudden aren't building something because Miles McBride is not getting minutes. So I totally disagree with that notion. And Taj Gibson and Obi Toppin have 2 different roles for this team. Taj Gibson is a backup center. Obi Toppin is not a backup center. He's a forward in their front court rotation. He's not a center, right? So I just think that this is kind of misguided. Like, the Knicks are still building something. Just because we're not winning the amount of games you thought they were going to win this year does not mean our plans for the future change, right? There's still a process.
I think we're still building. You're right. We're still building.
So there is a foundation.
But tell me this, Josh. Are we a win-now team?
Win now as far as championship? No, we're not a championship team.
Okay, so how do we build towards the future? How do we build on your mind? Because I hear you talk about trading for, some of these. I know you was on the Westbrook train, but how do we build for long, sustainable winning for the future? How do we do that?
You continue to do what you're doing right now. You continue to draft well, and you continue to bring in veteran pieces that fit. Right now, the veteran pieces don't fit. So it seems like, well, not all the veteran pieces, but all the pieces together collectively don't fit in the starting lineup. So we're not winning games right now. But I think that those pieces can be moved, and you can bring in other veteran pieces. You continue to draft well. You continue to bring in players here and there, like the trade for Cam Reddish, right? And you continue to build that way. Like right now, I think people are just kind of overreacting because we're looking at the Knicks and what they are right now, and we're projecting what the Knicks are going to be based off right now instead of thinking about all the potential that's there in the future. So I kind of understand that you're frustrated. I'm frustrated too. But just because the Knicks aren't doing so well right now during this season does not mean I'm going to scrap all the plans that the front office have for the future. I'm still looking forward to what they're going to do in the draft, in trades, and in free agency moving forward. And we do have pieces that we can be able to build with.
But with the veteran pieces you're talking about, I understand every team needs to have the vets. But what I'm saying is we're putting the vets first. You have to build your young core first and then put the vets around them. When you look at, like I said, these other teams, when you look at the team that we just lost to, when you look at where the vets at on that team, you know what I'm saying? They got a core of young guys. Look, like the caller talked about earlier about Golden State Warriors, right? They had to make a decision on Curry. They knew Curry was the foundation. Then they went out and got Klay Thompson. They put Draymond Green. Then they brought in the vets. We're doing it backwards. You're talking about getting the vets first, but we don't even know who our core is first. That's my point. I'm not saying
you don't think RJ Barrett's a part of that core? You don't think RJ Barrett is a part of that core? Or Mitchell Robinson?
Yeah, he's one. He may be one. We're not even running the offense through him yet to know if he is one. He is one. Okay. I think RJ is a core. But, you know, in any NBA team, any championship, you got to have at least 2, probably 3 main guys, and then you put the rest of the guys around them.
It's not too late to go get them. We still got drafts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But in order to get them, we got to know who we got. Because what if, like you said, what if Mitch ain't the one? But he ain't playing him, so we go out and get Turner and then replace Mitch.
But let me ask you this though. You don't think last year, after last season, the front office thought we have a core?
I think they thought that with RJ. And I think they was thinking to build around, I think with the draft, the players that they getting, I think they was looking at Obi. I think they was looking at RJ. I think this move with Cam, I think that's them. But like I said, I don't know if Tibbs and Leon is looking the same way, because I don't so much blame Tibbs because, I mean, that's how he always been. But at the same time, you know, when you look at what he did with Derrick Rose, I mean, that was with Joakim Noah. That was a young squad, so he played them. So I'm wondering if, okay, Leon, maybe they were saying, okay, let's try it your way, Tibbs, and then we tried it my way. You know what I'm saying? Because Tibbs always been a kind of a, you know, senior coach where he's just going to play the veterans. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not sure if Leon, maybe it was a trial and everything, because even like with the Kimball thing, do y'all feel like that was a Leon's choice or a Tibbs choice? Because that don't seem like a Tibbs type of guy. But then when he get in the press conference, he's like, well, Kimball's going to start. And then he turn around, he say he's out the rotation. Then he come back and say, well, he's back in the rotation. You see what I'm saying? I'm not sure if maybe they are not on the same.
But see, I think that after last season, I feel like Leon Rose, maybe even Tom Thibodeau, felt like we have a core here. RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and I don't know if they would if they considered Mitchell Robinson at that point because he only played 30-something games last season. Maybe they weren't sure. But I feel like that they thought that they had at least 2 guys, and then you had Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin, and those guys, you know, kind of around them, around that core. And then so they were looking to add in, like Kemba's a vet, Evan Fournier is a vet in this league. So I do feel like at the end of last season, they felt like they had a core in place. They might be looking at it differently now. They might be looking at it differently now and saying, okay, do we have to pivot or let's see what's going on? You know what I mean? They might be looking at it differently.
Yeah, because I don't know. When I look at a lot of the teams, like, you know, I don't see us how they can see that because we're not a win-now team. I mean, when I look at, if you look at what Cleveland is doing, that's a whole young squad. I mean, this young.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're trying to build sustainable winning, if you don't look at yourself as a win-now team, and like I said, they got a win-now coach in Tibbs, but, I mean, we can't base our timeline on Tibbs.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. Do you think last season, because I don't think the Knicks went into last season thinking that they were going to be the 4th seed in the playoffs, right?
No.
So do you think last season we all loved it and it was magical? You know, we felt good about it. You know, we all had higher expectations coming into this season. But do you think last season actually maybe hurt the Knicks?
I think so. I think so, because I think the expectations.
From y'all, from the fans.
Yeah, I think it did hurt the Knicks. I think it did hurt the Knicks because the expectations were, they were so high. And I mean, when we won that one game in the playoffs last year, and everybody was out in the front of the Garden going crazy over that one game, that set the bar, man. That set the bar. I think that's why everybody's so upset. But like I said, I always felt that when we hired Tibbs, it was going to be like a 5-year plan. I never thought that we can win getting Eastern Conference championships in 3 years or something like that. I always thought it was going to be a long deal because I was all in with the youth. I mean, I've been watching Knicks for a long time. This is the most talented draft class or rookie class that I've seen since Patrick Ewing. So, I felt it was a long time coming anyway. And I just rather come in new, young guys, and let's build from there. Don't look at the sparkly fish. Don't worry about trying to get an old guy, a vet, in early. Let's find out who the youth is first, who we got, and then move from there. Okay. But I appreciate you let me talk, man. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
y'all keep doing
it. No problem. Appreciate you, man.
Salute.
Thanks, caller.
Okay, that's the question. I want to go with that for a minute. Do you think last year hurt the plans of Leon Rose and the team, or threw a monkey wrench into the plans of Leon Rose in the front office? Josh, I'll start with you.
Absolutely not. No question in my mind that it hurt the plans. In fact, I think it helped. It helped the plans, right? I think the only expectations or that were wrong basically came from the fan base. And Sim, me and you go back and forth about this all the time. That one win that we got, at Madison Square Garden, everyone outside the arena, we want Brooklyn. So excited that the Knicks are relevant, after a 10-year period. I'm not, I get it. I was excited after we won the game too. But I think that right there, and those unreasonable expectations going into this season, Vegas only had us coming in at 41 wins this season. Everyone was like, "Oh, Vegas is wrong. Niggas hating on us. The NBA hates us." But now you look at the Knicks, and this is who they are, right? As far as Leon Rose in the front office is concerned, the reason why I think it helps us is because it shows that they're competent people running the front office. So I don't think that it threw a monkey wrench in there. In fact, I think it enhances it, and I don't know why anyone would think differently.
Well, the reason why I asked the question is because, if their plans were to participate in a slower build, right? And maybe that didn't include Julius Randle. I don't know. I mean, I tend to think that Tom Thibodeau wanted to, did his research and said, hey, I want to take a chance with this guy. I do believe that. But, what if their plans was something a little bit different? And then now this season happens, but in their mind, they're like, but we're not sure if this is real because we had other ideas on how we wanted to build this team and what we thought was going to work with this team, but because this happened, we can't just break it down. We got to see if this is real. And then now, we have what's, going on now. You know what I mean? That's where I'm that's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, yes, Tim. I don't think that's the case at all. And I understand why you asked the question. I just don't think, I think the plan is still the same. I don't think nothing has changed, right? I think, the front office is doing everything they can to build a winning program and a winning organization and building culture. I don't think that part of it has changed. Okay. Whether the Knicks are winning the amount of games that fans thought or not winning the amount of games. Yeah. I think that plan is still the same. And I think they're on that same schedule and timeline.
Okay, I just said, because, like, you remember back in the day, or maybe you don't, Josh, I don't know, you might be too young to remember, but back in the day, you used to have a TV with a big tube in the back, right? And, and the TV's not really working, it's messing up and whatnot, and you're saving your money to buy a new one, but then one day you smack it, and it starts working, oh, snap, my TV's working again.
Smack it on the side.
Right, and so then you go spend your money, and then come to find out 3 weeks later, it's still broke. And you got to now, save some more money to go buy another TV because that one can. You dig what I'm saying about, how that maybe could have happened with the Knicks after last season. It worked one time, so you got excited, and it really wasn't true. I hope that's not the case. You know what I mean?
I think if that was the case, they would have signed more players to longer-term contracts. I think with the way the contracts are structured, I think everything is short-term, everything is movable. So I think that they set themselves up for whether the Knicks do good this season or they don't. They can be able to maneuver.
Okay.
They're not capped out in my long term.
All right, let me get to a couple of super chats, and I'm gonna come to you with that same question, Savvy. Lewis Wilkinson, thank you again. He said, "I'm going to tell you." Oh, I read that one already. I didn't think I read that one. I read that one already. He talked about Obi Toppin.
I thought Lewis was just dropping racks on us tonight.
Joey Bucket says, "Salute to the panel." Says, "Savvy, I love your takes." Sim Josh Savvy, love your takes. We need a true point guard with high IQ. I love IQ, but he's not a point guard and has a low IQ. Tibbs' rotations are annoying too. He might get fired this offseason. I actually think, I don't think he's going to get fired this offseason, to be honest with you. If the Knicks don't make the playoffs or have a bad season, I don't think he's going to get fired. I think they're going to give him another year, maybe even with a lot of the same players. They'll probably try to find a point guard, like a reliable point guard that can give you some veteran savvy, play some defense, can shoot the basketball, can facilitate. I think they're going to try to find that kind of a guy. I don't know where they're going to get him. Probably Jalen Brunson, Malcolm Brogdon, someone like that. And then give Tibbs one more year, one more crack at it. I think that's probably what they do. And if it doesn't work then, then they might try to go in another direction. That's what I think is probably going to happen. Savvy?
I don't think last year hurt us. I think it's good for culture to get in the playoffs, even if you're a quick bounce out. I think it's great for culture. It's great for development, for people to experience what it's like to play a series against the same team and make the adjustments game to game in order to try to figure out, okay, this went wrong the first time, and this is how we're going to address and come at it this next time, playing in our arena, playing in their arena. And I think things would have gone a lot differently for us if we would have had Mitchell Robinson healthy and good to go for that series. I've always said that, and I'm going to stand by it. One thing I keep on coming back to about last season is the overrated chance that was raining down on Julius in Atlanta. Something tells me that got under his skin the wrong way. Because sometimes it gets under your skin and it pushes you forward. You know what I'm saying? And you come back and you ball. But every time we play them, he struggles. And he hasn't been the same mentally. There's a lot of factors outside of basketball that affect his mind frame that I'm not going to go into right now. I'm not going to do that. But, I think the only possible way that it could have hurt us is if we have higher expectations for ourselves as a team, and we do not do well with putting the pressure upon ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean the roster looking at themselves and being like, we should be better. Why aren't we getting it done? And not going about a constructive way about figuring out the answer to that question. If I may, one quick thing I would do, you know what I'm saying? I would take I would probably keep 2 picks in this upcoming. I don't know how many picks we have left in this upcoming draft. I would trade a few of them to get picks in the next draft, and then I would bundle what's left with maybe Nerlens, perhaps IQ, right? Perhaps even Kemba or someone, because we have to get rid of somebody, right? And try to make a trade for the player that we need at the point guard spot now. Try to end the season with that guy in place, right? Get him some burn. That way we already have some familiarity with what's going to happen once the next season begins, whether we hit the playoffs or not. I think we need to take advantage of this wealth of picks that we have. We traded a first rounder with Kevin Knox to get Cam Reddish, right? I'm not sure where we stand with the 2022 draft right now, but everybody's saying 2023 is going to look better. I don't think it hurt us at all. I think, if anything, Tom Thibodeau stays and we approach this offseason in a way that fortifies what he wants to do with this team, as opposed to doing something like looking for just the best talent again, because we need to fill in the holes and fine tune what we have going.
I mean, when you're looking at the draft this year, the Knicks still have their first round draft pick, and I think they have a couple of second round draft picks still that they can use, and they're not going to bring all of those guys in. I think they'll probably just bring in one guy, whether it's someone in the second round or their first round pick.
Because we can't fill all the roster spots.
Right, because we can't fill those roster spots. Isaiah, question that's on the table. Do you feel like last season hurt the Knicks for this season?
Yes and no. I'd say yes and no because, one, I'm a big advocate of I wanted RJ Randle to get that experience of going to the playoffs. I really did. I wanted, especially RJ, I wanted him to get that feeling. And again, to me, that's big for a guy second year to get into the play in the second year. And he was a major. So I wanted him to get that experience. I wanted Randle to get that experience. I wanted the whole team to get that experience. And it felt – listen, regardless of how we felt last year, it felt good to damn win. It felt good to come here every day for the most part and talk about the positives and talk about, all the good stuff that was going on with the Knicks. Even though Jawson's laughing because I was negative supposedly all last season. Yeah.
Mr. Pessimism. The pessimistic fan.
But I also say it was bad too because look, how can I say this? I get not tanking. I do. But when you have some of these rookies that we're seeing right now, when you could have had a chance, I'm not saying we would have been a top 3 bad team, but when you get up, if you get in top 10 lottery, anything's possible. When you see some of these players that's, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, all these Jalen Suggs, you see these guys. You got James Bouknight, who I was a big Advocate fan. You got Chris Duarte, who's actually the kind of player that we wanted Obi to be an immediate impact kind of player. But you see all these young talented players that could contribute to the Knicks right now. Sometimes it's bad. But again, it's versus do you want to get young talent or do you want to go get the experience? So it's both. But I mean, I'm more leaning to it was a success. I would have still went to the playoffs rather than tank and get a top 10 pick. But when you do miss out on some of these players, like I said, you do miss out on Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley. You miss some of these guys because you got Evan Mobley competing for a top 6 team, a top 4 team right now. You got Scotty Barnes contributing to a playoff team. You got Chris DeWalt. Well, maybe not a playoff team, but you got some of these guys that are contributing to playoff teams that are making big impacts. Sometimes you do miss out on it. People don't want to say that, but you do.
I mean, I agree. And last year, people were saying you got Emmanuel Quickly who's participating on a playoff team. You got Obi Toppin, who's participating on a playoff team, right? So it's difficult. Me, personally, I'm asking the question, but I'm going to take the playoffs every time.
Me too, bro.
I'm going to take the playoffs every time. I want to win basketball games. I'm going to take the playoffs. And you find a way to continuously build your team and make it better. Whether that's through the draft or through free agency or through trade, you've got to be savvy, no pun intended, but you got to be savvy in all aspects, right? You got to be savvy in the way you draft, the way you sign players, the way you trade for players, and the way that you develop players. Got to be smart.
To be honest, I'll be honest. I mean, the way the front offices have responding to trading for players has been really good. I'll give them an A+ for what they've been trading for. I give them a C to close to a B- for how they do in the draft. Because again, right,
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that.
Hold on. Well, I say B-.
I think they did well in the draft.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. So okay, they did late, but to me, Toppin brings that grade down a lot, just because of what you could have had and how he's playing out right now. Because again, right, regardless of how people feel about Obi, and again, I love Quickly. Grimes is playing great. McBride is going to be somebody's good. and Sim might be good. But when you have a chance to get like a Tyrese or something like that, that guy that's kind of really what you need right now as a point guard, you miss out on that when you got a guy like Obi. Wait, hold on, but you're missing a guy that we're talking about possibly trading who's barely getting minutes and isn't contributing versus a guy that could be contributing right now.
Man, there were a lot of people who didn't believe that Tyrese Maxey was going to be a starting point guard in the NBA too. Let me get to this.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese Halliburton, not Maxey.
You liked him.
Sim.
I said that I liked him. I know I liked him. I said that there were a lot of people who didn't believe that he was going to be a starting caliber point guard in this league. I didn't say I believed that. Caller, you're live. What's your name and where you're from, please?
Mike from North Carolina.
What's going on, Mike? How you feeling, man?
To that point, can you go and get me a bottle of Pepto-Bismol, third quarter strength from Rite Aid or Walgreens, please?
Third quarter strength? Yo, mess around with the Knicks, man. They might invent that for real.
I started looking in the stands again for you know what. And if you recall my past calls, I really need to watch the last game against the Wolves. I didn't see that because I really want to pay attention to Randle, man, because after he got out the game, the look on his face kind of reminded me of what he looked like prior to the mini winning streak, man. And to your point, yeah, something apparently is really going on with this cat, because I thought maybe he had COVID or whatever, but maybe he was just frustrated tonight. I'll give that much to him, but he doesn't seem like he's been active in the offense. And again, I got to see the Timberwolves game.
I mean, he played well in the Timberwolves game. He played a good basketball game. He just didn't hit free throws down the stretch. He was 9 for 11, but he missed a big one. Let's put it like that. Now, obviously, you go back and they did the 2-minute report, and a lot of missed calls by the referees that would have changed the game drastically. Karl Anthony Towns scores a layup over top of Julius Randle and gets fouled. And then the 2-minute report comes out and says it should have been an offensive foul on Karl Anthony Towns. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Julius Randle, for all intents and purposes, played well versus Minnesota.
All right. Also, quickly, and somebody got to talk to me about his shot selection, because it's almost using Ray Williams as a reference, because back in the day, I mean, some of his shots were kind of erratic, or the backcourt play with him and Richardson at times was like really crazy. And that 3-point shot that quickly took in the fourth quarter, on that comeback swing, I was like, dude, just set up a play and go in the paint. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely angry at him about the shot. He could have took a better shot. There's no doubt about it. Could have been a better shot. I'm not entirely angry about him. With the shot, it was probably a long shot. The Knicks were going to come back, and knowing who quickly is, he was going to try to, he was going to try to, make a big time play. But I get what you're saying. He could have made a better decision.
Also, when the New Orleans bigs got in foul trouble with their fifths, if I was Thibodeau, I would have gone after them as quickly as possible, no pun intended. And although they when I forgot the one with the beard, I forgot his name, but he got out and another big came in who had 5 fouls. Again, I would have gone after him. Mm-hmm. It's a game of knockout. Basketball is a game of knockout, and I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I hear you. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Who knows what's being called on the sideline? But those are the type of coaching decisions, that you make. Sometimes those are the type of things that your assistants say, hey, check this out. This is what's going on. And who knows? They might have, and it didn't get relayed to the team. Maybe it did. It's hard to say, but you're right. Someone got 5 fouls on the verge of fouling out. You go after them. Why? Because they don't want to foul out, so they slip to the side and let you have a basket, or they foul you and get fouled out, right? So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Real quick, and last thing for me, looking ahead to the Clipper game your thoughts on that, please, and the rest of the panel. And thanks for your time. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you,
Polish.
man. Appreciate you.
Hey, what's your name
Thank you
again?
very much. That was Mike. It was Mike. You know, talking
Mike.
about that Clippers game, man, you know what?
Some good questions.
With this Knicks team, you just don't know what to expect from night to night.
Right.
So it's hard to predict anything about how they're going to come out and play. You never know. Are they going to come out and play aggressive, move the basketball, knock down shots? We've seen them do it. We've seen the potential of what they can be. That's what, Isaiah said earlier today. You've seen the potential, so it frustrates you. But you never know which team is going to come out. They can come out and play great on the offensive side and not play great on the defensive side. They'll come out and play great on the defensive side, not play great on the offensive side. They come out and get down 25 points and come back and win. You just don't know what to expect from this team from night to night. And it's probably not just us. The coaching staff doesn't either. They don't know which players are going to show up on the floor. You know what I mean? They don't know which players are going to show up on the floor from night to night. That makes it tough. You're not going to win many games that way.
It's rough.
When you're that inconsistent just in everything that you do. It makes it very tough. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been about 2 hours, 15 minutes. And we still don't have any solutions here. You know what I mean? The Knicks play the Clippers on whenever they play the Clippers. When do they play the Clippers?
Saturday.
They play the Clippers
Saturday, I
on
believe.
Saturday. The Clippers right now are
22-24.
22 and 24. They're down Paul George. They're down Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? They are, trying to keep pace so that they can remain. Where are they right now? They're in the 9th seed in the Western Conference. So that's going to be a battle. Two teams that are 22 and 24. The Clippers right now, they've lost one. The Knicks have lost, 3 in a row?
Can't be.
At home.
Ain't no way.
Right? And all 3 games in a row at home.
Pelicans, Minnesota, and who?
Charlotte.
Yep, Charlotte, Minnesota, and the Pelicans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm always confused. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So, when we're looking at this Los Angeles Clippers game, I want to say that the Knicks are going to come out and respond and play hard and play like they know their season hangs in the balance, because it does. I'm just not sure that they will come out that way. I think this game is really going to tell a lot about the mentality of this basketball team. A lot of people would say, well, tonight's game was supposed to tell a lot about the mentality of this team, right? But I think this Clippers game is really going to tell you a lot, because right now they should feel like their season is on thin ice. Because they probably thought that they would come into this game and they probably thought, okay, we might battle, but we'll probably come out with the win, get back to 500. But now they're 2 games below 500. They're about to go into a tough stretch. This game is really critical. You got to get this win. You know what I mean? I think this is going to tell them, it's going to tell us a lot about this team and where they are. They dropped 3 games below 500. Going into the stretch that they're about to go into. The writing might be on the wall. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Josh, on this game? Really quick before we get out.
Both teams are really similar. Records are similar. Offensive rating, defensive rating, very similar. And both teams are basically fighting for their playoff lives right now. But I tell you one thing: if the Knicks lose this game, 4 in a row at home, I think that's catastrophic to the season. So the Knicks I think that will be a must-win for me if I think the Knicks have any chance at, getting in the top 10.
Yeah, no doubt.
Opinion.
Savvy, your thoughts, man?
Like I said when we brought this up the other day, they are a mentally strong team. They're scrappy and they're tough. They're not gonna fold over just because they don't have Kawhi and and PG. I think it's time for Star J Barrett to make another appearance, right?
Okay.
I think if he plays like Star J, you know what I'm saying? I think that will permeate itself throughout the rest of the lineup, and it'll be contagious, and we'll have a good outing against them. But we always play to the level of competition. You feel me? If we're playing a good team, we'll have a good game. Might win by a slim margin, might lose by a slim margin. Okay. If we're playing a bad team or a team that doesn't have one of their key pieces, like LaMelo Ball, okay, then or like Kawhi and Paul George, okay, then we're gonna play down to what they do, and either win or lose by a slim margin. We almost got blown out tonight. You know what I mean?
We did get blown out. We made a little run, but we got blown out.
Right, exactly. It was a fake recovery. You know, when the eyeball test says we got blown out, and so what I want to do is at least do one thing consistently for the entire game: play good defense. That's still the team that we are. We activated ourselves last year by focusing on defense first. I'm not saying that we're playing to that same level, Zay, okay? I'm just saying that we do well when we focus on defense and getting stops, and then we capitalize on the turnover. And just some quick appreciation. Sim, my favorite thing that you do on this show is when you say something and then you predict what someone's going to say in response. Okay. and then you tear down the response. That's the funniest thing that you do on this show, bro. And I just love that. I wanted to let you know that, bro. Salute to the chat.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all. MBK all day.
Yeah.
All right.
I like doing that to Big Bubba, man, because most of the time I know exactly what he's going to say. You know what I mean? So I like to tear down his response before he ever makes the response. And then all he can do is get up there and be like, well, they just been inconsistent all season long. So I'm not even going to get into it. You know, we're going to get into it later. But, say a whole 2 minutes of that. And then say, well, I'm going to let Savvy go. Big Bubba, man, go ahead, man. Your thoughts on this game? Just messing with
sometimes
you, Bubba,
sometimes
man.
I hate you, man.
Come on, man. You know I love you, man. Just messing with you.
Yeah. So I really do truly agree with you, son. I feel like it's so sad that I feel like it's so sad that I feel like we talked about this is the crucial game of the year like 4 times this season so far.
I know.
But no, seriously, I hate to be cliche, but seriously, this one is the most.
I mean, right now, every game is the most important game and biggest game of the season for the Knicks, right? For the next 10 games, every game is the most important one. There's no doubt about it.
But I'll say this though, so like I said, I do agree with you because to me, this one is going to set the tone of how we're going to do this. Like, are you going to go out? Are you going to come out to the Clippers, fight hard, and get that win? Or are you going to just, what you've been doing these last 3 games in a row, just been playing mediocre, just not playing good defense, just beating yourself, and then you go 3 games below 500, and then boom, the tough schedule happens. And to be honest with you, if we lose this game, and then we got to go to the next game, and then we got to do this tough stretch, I'm sorry, man. Y'all can call me negative all you want. we ain't gonna win, but you gotta get this W, man. RJ gotta step up, even though hasn't been playing bad since his big hot stretch. He just hasn't been playing particularly the best. So we got to get him. You got to keep him going. Randle, please, Randle. You got to play better. 4 points, 9 shots. That ain't good enough. That's truly not good enough. He knows that. Everybody knows that. And Savvy, man, you're asking the team that don't play defense consistently to play defense, and it's like, I ain't trying to get your hopes up, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But listen, man, this team, it's inconsistent. So hopefully the good consistency work tomorrow or Saturday, and we can do something, man. Because again, this team has just been the most. I feel like we say it every year, Sam, that this team is the most frustrating, but this one's particularly frustrating because of just the expectations, the money you spent, the buildup of last year. This just a lot going on. So
yeah,
let's see, man.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I'll get his point out for him. You know, the Knicks play the Los Angeles Clippers on Sunday. Actually, it's Sunday at 1 p.m. They play the Clippers and then the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference, top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. They're 27-19. The Miami Heat, top 2 team in the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks, a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. Then they play the Sacramento Kings, who are fighting to get into the play-in in the Western Conference. All right, they're just a game and a half out of the play-in in the Western Conference. Then they play the Memphis Grizzlies, who are a top 3 team in the Western Conference. Then the Los Angeles Lakers, who are a top 8 team in the Western Conference. Then the Utah Jazz, who are a top 4 team in the Western Conference. Then the Denver Nuggets, who are a top 6 team in the Western Conference. Then the Golden State Warriors, who are have one of the best 2 records in the league, the second best record in the league. And then they play the Portland Trailblazers, who at this point in time are an 10th seed in the Western Conference. They're not particularly good, but we just lost to a team that's not particularly good.
Right.
And then they play OKC. We lost to them earlier. We already lost to them once. And then we play the Brooklyn Nets, right? Top, 3 team in the Eastern Conference. Then we play the Miami Heat, top 2 team in the Eastern Conference. Then we play the Philadelphia 76ers twice in a row, top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. Then we play the Phoenix Suns, best team in the league, record-wise.
Golly.
Then we play the Los Angeles Clippers once again, who are a top whatever team in the Western Conference, right? Top 9 team in the Western Conference. And then we play the Sacramento Kings, who they're fighting to get into the play-in. And then we play the Dallas Mavericks, who are a playoff team. Then the Memphis Grizzlies. You already know who they are. The Brooklyn Nets. You already know who they are. Don't. The Portland Trailblazers. We just talked about who they are. Then the Washington Wizards are just above the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference. Then the Utah Jazz. You know who they are.
Yeah, we never played good at Utah.
Right? And then the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, we beat them 3 times already.
Right, checkable.
Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, the last half of this season is just because then after we play the Hawks, we play the Charlotte Hornets, who we've already lost to twice. Then we play the Miami Heat. We get a break with the Pistons.
Thank God.
Then we play the Bulls. This is going all the way to March 28th. Then we play the Bulls.
And you're making the chat depressed.
I'm just telling you what's here. Then we play.
And you got them shook in the chat.
Look, then we play the Charlotte Hornets. I know people are probably logging off like, I don't want to hear this. Then we play the Charlotte Hornets again. Then we play the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then we play the Orlando Magic. We've lost to them twice in a row. Then we play Brooklyn. Then we play Washington. Then we play.
Damn, what the hell?
Ladies and gentlemen, the last half of this season, I mean, we were talking about the Knicks having a tough stretch up until March 16th or so. No. Like, the last half of the season is nothing but tough games.
Second toughest in the NBA.
Yeah,
I was crazy. Never.
We got
Tankathon said that. Go on, Zach.
No, I was gonna say we literally have the second hardest schedule in the NBA. second half
Absolutely.
schedule.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
And we're about to get into it. It starts on Sunday. We're about to get into it. Yeah. You know, sorry, chat. Sorry, chat. I didn't mean to do it to you. I'm sorry, chat.
And Sim, you know what's crazy, Sim? And I remember we said it like a couple shows ago that this 9-game stretch before this big stretch was so crucial. This is why we talked about it being crucial, about us at least winning 6 or 7. We had to be at least 7-2. We had to be at least 7-2 or 6-3 to in that 9-game stretch to at least be something positive, and just we shit the bed. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, but we really did when it came to this beating this game. We needed to, these last 3 games, we needed to win 2 out of those games, man. Because this, I mean, golly, I'm just hearing that. It's literally, there's no breaks, and you literally got the Pistons. That's the only break you get.
You said the last 9 games, I think were, what? We lost the last 3 and we won 5 in a row before that, right?
So we lost the last 3. We won 3 in a row before that. We had won 3. Now we just lost 3 in a row.
So we're 4-4 over the last 8, and this will be the 9th game.
I mean, but look, man. I mean, literally, you get a break with the Pistons.
Because every other team, because we lost to the Magic twice.
We lost to the Magic twice, so that's not a break for us. That's not a break for us, without a doubt.
I'm not even worried about it. We got to play better, period.
I mean, we got to play better, period. But, you know, there's not going to be many games in this schedule that says, okay, you know, we can fine-tune ourselves, you know, with this game. Even the Sacramento Kings. Okay, the worst teams that we play in this stretch, the Sacramento Kings,
the Pistons,
the Portland Trail Blazers, OKC, but we lost to OKC.
They not maybe playing.
Right? And
Lonzo Ball not be playing against the Bulls too because he's out for like.
Portland don't need Dame to beat us, and Chicago don't need Lonzo to beat us.
Right.
You sure about that?
I just think y'all overthinking it. I think the Knicks will be okay. I think the Knicks will be fine. We just got to play better.
Josh, hold on. Josh. I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to be funny. What has given you the indication this season that we're going to be fine?
Because you said the same thing last season that the Knicks weren't going to be fine.
Okay, hold on. So, Josh, don't do that because you know there's a huge difference between last year's team and this year's team.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Defensive 42.
Shut up. Because I know. Because I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing this with.
I mean, it's not a big difference in players. You know, we only added 2 more players. You know, rotational players. But with the way the team is playing, the chemistry, all that stuff, you know, there's a clear difference. I'm just reading that schedule off to let you know it's a tough road ahead. Bottom line, that's all I'm saying.
We win 2 of those games in a row. I think that can propel us into something a little bit better. I think that will give the team some more confidence.
Okay.
Hold on, but again, I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer, but it's like we won 3 games in a row. We felt good about that. We was like the Knicks are finally turned the corner.
Yeah.
And what do we just do now? We literally just lost 3 games in a row.
Right, and we won. Hold on, Savvy. Hold on. We won 3 games in a row against teams that you didn't think we should beat, and then when we did beat them, you said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." So, hold on. If we win 3 games against some of these teams that right now you're saying that we're not going to beat, I think that can be a little bit better, don't you think?
Okay, but hold on, Charles. But again, bro, you said we lost. Okay, we beat team that I said we weren't supposed to see, but we literally just lost a team. Okay, minus maybe the T-Wolves because I thought the T-Wolves are better than what they are. We lost a team that we should be beating. So again, right, we're talking about us being better. You're talking about us winning some of these games. Man, this whole season has been inconsistent of us win some, lose some, and then we feel good about one game. We finally get it. RJ and Jay and Randle play good together.
I'm talking about the competition. By beating some of these good teams, I think that can give us some momentum moving forward. By beating some of these good teams. I think that we're talking about this rough schedule right now. I think the team is also looking at that saying, you know, if we win some of these teams, beat some of these teams, that can give us some momentum. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Well, I hear what you're saying.
Listen, I agree with you. You beat some of the teams, you can start to get some momentum. Let's hope that they can do that because it's a rough road ahead. We're gonna see what they're made of, ladies and gentlemen.
The best thing we have going for us is that these are a lot of away games. That's it.
Okay. I mean, listen, the Knicks been playing much better on the road than at home, that's for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm up out of here. I appreciate your time. I have a basketball game tomorrow. I'm not even going to be able to do a shoot around. Maybe when I get back from the game, I'll be able to jump on and do a shoot around or whatever. Hopefully we have some good luck tomorrow when we go out here and play. We're playing a team that we already beat, but that doesn't mean we're going to beat them. I had to let my girls know that. Just because you beat them once doesn't mean you're going to beat them again. You know what I mean? So, we're in for a battle. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Hopefully I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm up out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.